Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully, you're having a beautiful morning. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. And Trump, I love our president. I love what he represents. I love the fact that, if nothing else at all, is that his cabinet, his administration is transparent. And I don't know if any of you have ever attended a executive board meeting, but a lot of people haven't had that experience. And to witness it on that level of the presidency, and to have his cabinet, want each person is supposed to give an account of what they have done, what they have accomplished. And it's going to be a reflection of the last 100 days. And I think that a question that we need to ask both parties, Republicans, which Trump is answering, and the Democrats, what have the Democrats done for this country in the last 100 days? What have the Democrats done for Americans in the last 100 days? What resolutions, what policies, what practices, what have they done for Americans in the last 100 days? I want them to give an account to us, the American people, not the illegal immigrants, not Canada, not Russia, not Ukraine, but I want them to give an account to the American people in the last 100 days. I think I'm going to put that as a poll question. What have the Democrats done for Americans in the last 100 days? And they need to be held accountable, and they need to give an account, just like what we expect of the Republican Party, the whatever president that's in office. I feel like we are escaping them from and holding them responsible. So he's going to come on, and I don't know exactly what time that they're going to, let's see what time they're going to actually bring the president on, but it's set for 10:30. It was set for 10:30 this morning, but a lot of times, like they say, a little bit earlier than they come on. But like, meanwhile, while we wait for the president so that we are not bored, I like to look at the interview that he did with ABC. And you got to give him credit, because ABC have not been kind to President Trump. None of the mainstream media. He's received 93% of negative reporting from mainstream media. 93%. So you wonder why there are rallies. You wonder why people are deranged, Trump syndrome. You wondering why that people hate him so much, and they can't give you like a specific reason. I mean, he closed the borders. That was done for all Americans, all of us. The economy, egg prices, gas prices, interest rates are coming down. And Trump is like, he's like, wait and see. He said, y'all don't understand what's going on, but if y'all understood, yes, we might be taking a little hit right now, but in the long run, we're going to come out on top, because we're bringing jobs back to America. He's saying, look at Apple. You know how much $500 billion is coming into this country? Did the last administration bring one penny into this country? $500 billion just from Apple. They're going to be doing business, and they're going to bring the iPhone. They said they're just trying to see with the $500 billion and infrastructure, whatever they're doing here, that they want to move forward. Then he has $500 billion coming from, what was that called? NVIDIA. $500 billion from them. What's that? $500 billion from them. So this is incredible, coming into the United States. Then you have Taiwan. What is it, Hyundai or whatever? That they're giving $22 billion. And then Doge found how many billions? That they found all this wasteful spending in the government, and there's a lot more to come. This is within 100 days. So if nothing at all, he has done more in the last 100 days than the last two presidencies prior to him. Might three, excluding his last presidency. So, like, I have always voted for Democrats, but you got to give credit where credit is due. So until he comes on, we're going to look at President Trump's things that he has done with the administration, and like some of the interview that he sat with ABC. Now, Kamala would not sit with Fox News. I think that's the only channel that might, because they waver with him. He don't even really like them. That she sat with him, but it was scripted and they docked it up for her. And that's not what we want. But he goes on all these hostile networks and he sit down with these reporters who they're looking for a catch me moment and they're looking to discredit him. But you got to look, either you like a boss or you don't. Somebody got balls to go on a channel with opposition. I think that they give him his respect. So anyway, as we wait for him to go on, Elijah, let me know when he's coming on, because I want to take a look at the ABC interview that Trump did, and we could give our opinion on that. So as we wait for the president to actually start this cabinet meeting,
Undeniable fact that illegal crossings at the southern border have plummeted, a staggering decline. But there are questions about your methods, and so I want to ask
about my message?
methods, about your methods, how you're
They seem to
accomplishing
work.
this. Do you acknowledge that under our law, every single person who gets deported gets a hearing first to make their case?
Well, are we talking about people that are citizens of our country or not?
No, you're not deporting citizens at this point.
Well, let me ask you, did they get hearings when Biden allowed 21 million, because I think the number is 20 million people to flow into our country? He had 21 million people that came into our country through a stupid open border, and they were prisoners, and they were people that you don't want in many cases in our country, right? They came from all over the world. They came from the Congo, they came from South, they came from all over the world. We're talking about some of the roughest countries in the world they had here, including terrorists, by the way. Now,
But
did we give them a hearing when they came in?
Well, the law requires that every single person who is going to be deported gets a hearing first.
Well,
Do you acknowledge that?
I'll have to ask the lawyers about that. All I can say is this: if you're going to have 21 million people, and if we have to get a lot of them out because they're criminals, we're going to have to act fast. We can't. Do you think we can give 21 million trials? Let's say each trial takes 2 weeks. Is that what you want us to do?
The law
Give
is the
21
law.
million?
So that's
The law is the
200
law.
years.
The law doesn't say anything about trials.
No, not trials, hearings. I said
These
hearings.
people came in, they're not citizens, they came in illegally, they came into our country
Right.
illegally, we have to get them out.
There's a legal
Oh, they're gonna
process.
fight.
I can't, sure, and we follow the
They're
legal
gonna fight
process.
tooth and
I can't have a trial, a major trial for every person that came in illegally. We have thousands of murderers that came in. They're gonna murder people. They already have murdered people in our country.
Right, so
We have to get them out,
they're
and we have to
bad
get them
guys,
out fast.
really bad guys, but in our country, even bad guys get due process, right?
If people come into our country illegally, there's a different standard. These are illegal, they came in illegally.
But they get due process.
Well, they get a process where we have to get them out, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the Venezuelans.
They get whatever my lawyers say.
Right, all right, let's talk about the Venezuelans. You deported more than 200 Venezuelans to that prison in El Salvador. You say they're violent, they're gang members, they're terrorists. Many of them don't have a criminal record at all.
Well,
But
I'm not so sure about that, if you take a look.
I want to read you something.
Excuse me, when you look at those people, they were violent people. They were violent people.
But many of them don't have a criminal record
Go
at this
ahead.
point.
That's
That's
what you say.
Well, it's based
Go
on
ahead.
their lawyer, what their lawyers
Go
have
ahead.
said. Okay. Joe Rogan said this. Joe Rogan, one of the leading podcasters, Trump supporter, about the deportation of Venezuelans. He said, quote, rounding up gang members and shipping them to El Salvador with no due process, he said it was dangerous, and added, quote, we got to be careful that we don't become monsters while we're fighting monsters. Is Joe Rogan right?
Oh, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, we want to be careful, and we are careful. We're doing something that has to be done. We have a country that's very sick. Joe Biden, and it's not him because I don't even think he knew what the hell was happening, but the people around him are vicious people, and what they've done to the country is unbelievable. They've allowed 21 million people to pour into our country. Many of these people are criminals. They've allowed you mentioned Venezuela, the jails of Venezuela to be emptied into the United States. Do you know Venezuela crime is way down? Way down. You know why? Because their criminals are now living happily in the United States of America, and we're getting them out. And I was elected to get them out, and we're getting them
Under
out,
the law. It
and
sounds
we're
like-
getting them out fast, and we're getting them out legally. Now, in some cases, we have judges. In some cases, they're radical left judges. What happened the other day where a judge was protecting a criminal was horrible. And I think she's got big problems,
Probably.
frankly.
I wanna
And
talk
there are a
about-
couple of them like that.
I want to talk about one
Wait a
man.
minute,
Yeah.
we have to be treated fairly by judges, and we're not being treated fairly by
That's
all
true.
judges.
Oh, that's a subject. So you're saying that you don't like some of the rulings, some of the
Well,
court orders?
I think the rulings will be overturned, yeah.
Let me ask you about one man and one court order. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's the Salvadoran man who crossed into this country illegally, but who is under a protective order that he not be sent back
go
to El
ahead,
Salvador.
fight.
Your
Go
government
fight
sent
it
him back
and
to El
see.
Salvador and
That's what the
acknowledged
American
in
people
court that
want.
was a mistake.
That's what
And
the
now the
American
Supreme
people
Court
want. Yeah,
has upheld an
fight.
order that you must return him to facilitate his return to the United States. What are you doing to comply?
Well, the lawyer that said it was a mistake was here a long time, was not appointed by us. Should not have said that, and just so
Said it
you
in court.
understand,
Said
the
it in
person
court.
that you're talking about, you're making this person sound, this is a MS-13 gang member, a tough
Go ahead.
cookie, been in lots of skirmishes, beat the hell out of his wife, and the wife was petrified to even talk about him, okay? This is not an innocent, wonderful gentleman from
I'm
Maryland.
not saying he's a good guy. It's about the rule of law. The order from the Supreme Court stands, sir.
Came into our country illegally.
You could get him back. There's a phone on this desk.
I could.
You could pick it up, and with all the power of the presidency, you could call up the president of El Salvador and say, send him back right now.
And if he were the gentleman that you say he is, I would do that.
But the court
But
has
he's
ordered
not.
you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We have lawyers
The
that don't
president.
want to do this.
But the buck stops in
I-
this
No,
office.
no. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he
Supreme
is.
Court says what the law is.
Listen, I was elected to take care of a problem. It was a unforced error that was made by a very incompetent man, a man that turned out to be incompetent, that you always said was wonderful, a great genius, right? And now you find out, all of the media now, they're saying what a mistake they made. A man who was grossly incompetent allowed us to have open borders where millions of people flowed in. I campaigned on that issue. I wouldn't say it was my number one issue, but it was pretty
Right
close.
up there.
I campaigned on that issue. I've done an amazing job. I have closed borders. He said you couldn't do it. You wouldn't be able to do it. It would never happen. Well, it happened, and it happened very quickly. Wait a minute. When we have criminals, murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it.
By law.
And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well,
over that.
wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles
Oh,
tattooed.
he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
Wow.
Terry.
He did not have the letter MS13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshop. So let me
That
just-
was Photoshop. Terry, you
He
can't
had
do
it.
that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I'll
Terry,
move on to something else.
Terry,
He doesn't want to talk about that.
do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
Hey, go ahead,
We'll-
Trump.
we'll
You think
agree
it's
to disagree.
Photoshop? Well,
Here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine.
No, no,
Can't be
Terry,
interpreted. That's
Terry,
how they,
Terry.
this is how they do it. This is how they spin it.
He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why
All right.
people no longer believe
Well,
the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador,
Fake
they aren't
news.
there. But let's just go. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They
Take a
weren't
look
there,
at the
but they're
photograph.
there now, right?
No,
But they're there
they're in
now.
the picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
he's got MS-13 on his knuckles,
All right.
okay?
We'll take a look.
It's you
We'll
just
take a
such a
look.
disservice.
We'll take a look
Why
at that,
don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
Oh, he
Why are
talking about
doctors using these strange
contested.
pouches
It's
to
like so
eliminate
funny that he
disease-spreading
said, oh,
rodents in 24
contested.
hours? Watch
I
what's
mean,
happening.
Trump,
These
this is,
amazing
Trump is
pouches
at
are
his
creating an
best
invisible
when
barrier
he's
that
dealing
mice
with
and
these
rats can't
people.
cross.
It's just
Like,
so
they literally
amazing.
turn and run away. So it's completely
Trump, I
Yeah,
tell
Eric,
you.
Eric,
Huh?
you could thank Joe Biden for that.
What did he
He's
say?
saying, never in my 64 years have I seen the country in such a mess.
You know what? You are absolutely right. Neither have the rest of us.
Yeah.
Because we had the worst administration in the history of the United States of America with that past administration. Just like Trump said, he think the numbers is up to 20 million that people have been allowed to invade this country. It like how can you have a country, just think about it, Americans, how can you have a country that is $36 trillion in debt and you take on 20 million people? It's not that much farm picking in the world. They're not here for that. They wanted them to come into the point that when the election was getting closer, they start flying them in. It's not about the welfare of the immigrants that have come into this country. It's all about votes. It's all about power. And it's all about money. Like I proposed, I put the poll up because what have the Democrats done for the American people in the last 100 days? American people. What have they done in the last 100 days for American people? Like, Trump has done more in 100 days. If he didn't do anything else, closing the borders, they act like they couldn't do it. We knew that was a lie. Kamala Harris was the border czar. You could check out, I think it's the 118th Congress. You could see her name is written. You could go online to .gov and you can look at the 118th Congress. You can Google it. I believe it's the 118th Congress, but you can Google it. And she is written in Congress, that she is the border czar. She was the border czar. Now, there's a significant difference between Tom Homan as a border czar and Kamala Harris. She ran for president, but wouldn't take responsibility for anything. I'm like this. You want my vote? I want to see you, at least if you even make an error, take responsibility for it. Stand 10 toes down on it. But these people hide behind Trump deranged syndrome, TDS, and they try to run on that. How about running on their policies?
Tom Holland's a monster.
He's not a monster. He's not. Was Obama a monster? Was Clinton a monster? Was Bush a monster? Because all of them deported illegal immigrants, and Obama and them, they even put them in cages. And nobody, where was all the hands out, hands down protest, 50-51? And now, where were their due process? They're not American citizens. They can get due process in their country. When they want to come back, they can come back legally. But if we already have a $36 trillion debt, that this country was becoming a third world country. It's like people stuck in bubble land somewhere. They're stuck in bubble land. Nobody is saying anybody's unwanted. But for the Venezuela to empty out their prisons,
Yeah, someone said that Tom Homan has a really dangerous job.
Yeah, they empty out their prisons. Why would anybody with any common sense from any country support that? That somebody can empty out their prisons and dump them into your country. It's nobody would say great. Americans, we don't have anything against immigration at all, but they like to flip the script. It's not about the immigrants. It's about what the past administration, that they caused this mess that we're in now. That now this current administration is dealing with. They caused this dilemma. They caused all of that, what we're going through. This is at their hand. And what have the Democrats? Somebody that's a Democrat is like, I'm glad we always voted Democrats. Okay, tell me, what have the Democrats done for Americans? Not over in El Salvador trying to get an El Salvadorian citizen to bring them back here that we already spent $5 million on, to send them back to his country. That's not helping us spending $570 billion to have them here. We already in debt. And we're not even taking care of our own veterans. Every American should have a problem that these people went over to fight for our freedoms and fight for us, and they're living on the street. What kind of America is this? That they're living on the streets. We're doing more for people that haven't done anything for this country, that don't support this country. They even run around talking about America. Look at what they don't even fly American flags. They're doing all this and they fly other countries' flags. They burn our flags. Like, I was like working for the government. If you allow that flag to touch the ground, vets would go off because it's out of respect.
Thanks.
Where's the respect for our country? Where's the respect? You want to be American, why are you flying other flags?
Everyone in the comments just use ABC talking points.
Yeah, but see, they've been fed that.
Yeah.
93% of the reporting for Trump has been negative. If you got 93, I believed it. I was like all in. I believed it. 93% of the reporting. He can cure cancer, and they're going to find negativity. They're going to find no matter what. It doesn't matter. You have a president that actually has gained respect from the world, that's leading the country, that's actually bringing money to the country.
All right, someone keeps spamming. You're getting blocked.
So they know that's not going to continue.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's like you have someone actually that's putting America first. And I can't see why any American citizen would not want to have a president to care about you. What's going on in other countries, they have presidents and they have prime ministers and they have elected officials to take care of their problems. Our presidents are taking care of everyone else except for us, using our taxpayer dollars and neglecting to do anything for us. And the Democrats are still running around like, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to attack Trump, while they do nothing for us.
It's only weird to you because you're used to seeing black people being Democrats.
They're not used to people actually being able to have some freaking sense, that have some sense, that have see, God. That's why I love my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Because God, you can ask God for wisdom. Ask God for wisdom. He gives it out liberally. Just use discernment. We are experiencing what's going on. It's not like someone is telling us, and we're not deluded by fake news and the mainstream media, because they do a disservice to people when they don't report both sides. How is the Democratic Party 100% when they don't do anything for you? They don't report anything against them. Nothing. While they open up our borders, while they cause 2 wars, while they cause inflation, while they're reason for the economy the way it is, while they do high interest rates, it goes on. Transgender, men and women sports.
Potomac proof.
All these things that they have done to this country. And
no, who thinks we're scum is Joe Biden and his 1994 crime bill.
Yeah, and that's another thing. We're all misled because black people, we don't know the real deal. We don't do our research, which I was guilty of. I had no idea that Joe Biden was the author of the 1994 crime bill, which he pushed, and he caused mass incarceration of black men. Not saying he didn't lock up women and everybody else, but mass incarceration. He told the judges that they were beyond rehabilitation, super predators, all sorts of things.
Someone said, bro, this channel will blow up. Y'all are telling the truth. Keep it up. Common sense. People listen to this.
It is, and the people know we're telling them the truth, but the truth hurts. Yeah. And you have to be real with yourself. This is an opinion. This is America. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And you can have yours as well.
You talking about my hat, but you got that flag in your username. Is funny.
You know what? But you know what? We stand, like, you can't come on here unless that you can handle trolls and all that, because when people don't have anything to stand on, they try to attack. And that's what they do. You know, you can speak your mind and use the dictionary. You're not going to be disrespectful, because YouTube's going to hide all that. So you could do it all you want to, but it's not going to be shown. You know, they're not going to allow it. Okay, but you can talk in a clear, concise manner. You can use the dictionary, and I wish the Democratic Party would exercise their rights to use a dictionary, because they start cursing and using foul language, then they're their supporters. That's what they do. They're angry. They want to fight. They use foul language, and you know what? It's misdirected anger. The anger is supposed to be towards them. They caused this. They deserve the anger. No one becomes president, gets sworn in January 20th, and all this was his fault. Trump been moving at the speed of lightning. He's done more executive orders than they did in 4 years in the last 100 days.
It's just crazy.
The last 100 days.
It's just crazy what the mainstream media has done to people.
They have really done. I was there. I know.
Yeah, I don't know how the Democrats can do all this. To the
All
people
this.
have died because of them, and people
Because-
still 10 toes down for them.
That's right. It's crazy. They got them so livid, so angry that, like, I think someone brought it up, 2 Thessalonians 2:10, that they calling wrong right, right wrong. They can't even see the truth, and the people that are exercising the lies, that their anger should be protesting against the Democrat Party, because they're responsible for what we are going through right now. And Trump, I don't know if he sleeps or not, but he's been working really hard, and he has a phenomenal Avenger team. I mean, the people that he
Justice
put,
League.
his Justice League, he put some dynamic people that he has put in position to help straighten out this
I
country.
think people in the chat are angry because he's trying to make America healthy again.
Trying to
They
make
want
America
McDonald's.
healthy again. Trying to make America safe again. Trying to make America respectful again. Trying to make America prosperous again. All the things that he's doing that they're fighting against is the opposite of what he deserves. It's just crazy. Even what Doge have done. Here go Elon. He is a trillion. I don't agree with everything he has done. What I do agree is a lot of the waste that he's found in the government. And this man stopped to take time, and all those other people that's working in Doge, that they have businesses and stuff, that they want to help this country. It's a sick country. And here we got people on Social Security that are 135 years old. They're talking like 59,000 people. They're not even alive getting Social Security. People haven't been born yet getting Social Security. Illegal immigrants getting Social Security, getting SNAP. All this stuff is going. All that is fraud. All this money that we're paying for. So when you retire, it's not going to be any money for the citizens that have given into to the Social Security. Because they said in 10 years, it's not going to be any Social Security. And now we got the weight of all these people that previous administration. Do you really believe that they opened up the borders out of the kindness of their heart? Do you really believe that? Do you believe that? Go, Elon. You love America. You voted for Trump. Have you seen U.S. debt? That's what we're trying to get rid of. $36 trillion debt. You can't take care. Try having debt and old. Try bringing 100 people in your home, and you already have $250,000 worth of debt, and you want to get rid of your debt. But now you got people living in your house that you have to feed. You got to provide clothes for, health care for, gas for, off your salary, off your paycheck. Mind you that they tearing up your home. They destroying your house. Because if you got 100 more people living in your house and it only should be like 5 people, they're destroying your home. That's what's happening to America. They're destroying our home. Because when you have a mass invasion of that many people at once, that we can't handle because we're already struggling. Americans know, and they're telling you, and they're transparent, that somebody has to take care of the debt. This country, one more term of the Democrats, we were heading to becoming a third world country. The USA was going to go bye-bye. They were already taking over the streets, the cities, we were becoming a third world country. Trump is bringing back the law and order. And now we're standing, like, people respect about America because America never allowed this nonsense that's going on. We never allowed it. We always watched on TV what everybody else is going through. America has never been like this. And this is all because of Biden and that administration. Biden was just the front guy, but he was being controlled. And that's why they did everything they could to keep Trump out of office, because they couldn't control him because he has his own money. They couldn't buy him. He didn't have to bend his knee to them. And that's why they didn't want him, because Biden wasn't in power, neither was Obama. They're being controlled by people, the Koch brothers maybe, or those real billionaires or trillionaires. So now they leave office, and instead of, not one protest was against them in office, all this stuff that was going on. And they ran the whole time. Did y'all realize that they couldn't run on their policies or their administration, that they had their accomplishments, that they had to run on abortion? They couldn't pull nothing else out the hat. Because they couldn't run on borders. They caused the open borders. They caused illegal immigration.
Our King's the Son of God, Jesus Christ.
They caused the dilemma, and not any fault to the immigrants. They were used. They used them because they wanted the votes. Come here. Push the vets out the way. Push the American citizen out the way. Come here. Come here. That's what they wanted. They said, come here. They wanted to come here so that they can get their votes. That's why they had sanctuary cities, so that they can increase electoral votes, because you don't win elections by the popular vote. You win it by the electoral votes. So they wanted to retain power, and they didn't care what happened to this country, because it's always about the Benjamins. Y'all know that, right? At the end of the day, war is about the Benjamins. They make a lot of money with war. That's why Zelensky doesn't want the Ukraine war. That could have been peace a long time ago. But he's not going to be, he's an actor. He would be kicked out immediately. But as long as you have a war going on, then they can't do a change of power. So the things that's going on in that country, that the people are crying out, but they're shutting down the media so you can't hear them. And that's why it's great that we're in America, because we speak the truth, because silence can't be heard. Silence can't be heard. And whether people want to admit it or not, I want to know, like the poll that I put up said, what have the Democrats done for you within the last 100 days?
Oh, Erica, you're referring to when Joe Biden had the 6 Afghanistan soldiers in Afghanistan, or when he was checking his watch when he was at their memorial, saying that Trump treated soldiers like spit. So what did Biden treat them like?
Yeah, he said that he didn't lose anybody during his administration. Didn't even give honor to the fallen soldiers at at the Arlington Cemetery. Wouldn't even go, him or Kamala. Here, not only did people lose their lives, there were people that were terribly mangled during war. They lost legs, arms. Trump said, like, one person almost looked like they had their face blown off. So he didn't give any honor to them. Then we hightailed it out of Afghanistan like we had the weakest country in the world. Why were we running? And we're going to leave hundreds of billions of dollars worth of equipment to the Iranians? What kind of insanity? They were on TV talking about it's a new age for them. That's what we did. That's what Biden did. Biden allowed a balloon from China collecting intelligence. They know where all our probably military bases are. They know where all our infrastructure is, our water supply, electricity. So they don't have to attack us with bombs. They could attack us from inside out. We have 54,000 Chinese men that came over. Where are they? They didn't go to the shelters. We got people inside this country that they allowed in, that should not be here, because they don't mean us any good. And they know it. They know it. They said, everybody, this is news for everyone. The CIA or FBI, they said we have 350 terrorists that are here. How many was here for 9/11? 19? So I mean, these are facts. This is just stuff that the news has been saying, that the information is just out there. We're just repeating it. We're repeating it. And it's for the news is for everyone. It's not hidden. This is the news that they're telling the American people. But guess what? But the Democrats make it like Trump did it and he just got elected. He's been in office since January the 20th. But they've been in office for 4 years. They did all of this. And I think it's misdirect anger. And I don't know what it's going to take for these people to wake up to understand that they should be protesting against them lazy behind Democrat leaders, Hakeem Jeffries, Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Bernie Sanders, all of them who's crying fire, fire, and doing nothing for us.
Someone said with Trump being office, polls and 401s and faith and jobs, what really stuck out to me in that is faith. Is he saying that the faith in God is going down since Trump has took office? This guy has wrote all comments against us.
Well, but it's okay. Like, you know what? He's like listening to mainstream media. Because what goes down will come back up. We have to take a stand. And because we're just standing on our terrorists, because, you know, you're fine with 170 countries with us overpaying them and they're robbing us and won't take any of our products. That's fine. But Trump's taking a stand saying, look, y'all have been unfair to America. We're buying everything from everyone. Clinton did that. That's why everything in China. Clinton did that. President Clinton, a Democrat president.
And Larry, I'm not going to respond to you because imagine being named Larry.
You know, it's amazing when you tell people the truth. See, if you want to hear lies, anybody on here, if you want to hear lies, and you want a media that's only going to do a disservice to you and only tell you lies and what you want to hear, then listen to MSNBC, listen to CNN, listen to ABC, listen to CBS, listen to all the mainstream media, listen to them.
Listen to Roland Martin.
Yeah, listen to Roland Martin. Listen to Al Sharpton. Listen to them.
The Young Turks.
Yeah, listen to them. If that's your cup of tea, you have choices. But if you want to hear the truth, for people who don't have any skin in the game, and this is just speaking the truth 2.0, then you're going to come here over and over again. You're going to hit the notification bell and you're going to subscribe. Because one thing about sincerity and when people are real, you can tell the difference between a lie. You know when someone is passionate. You know when someone is speaking the truth. I know how it is. See, you know how people say you don't know what someone been through. Like say somebody was an alcoholic. Oh, you don't know what it is to be an alcoholic because you never was an alcoholic. So you don't know what it is to be someone that have to take a drink. It's the same thing. I know what it is to be a Democrat because that's what I've been, a Democrat. So I understand all the lies, the fake news. When Trump was saying fake news, I thought that was a joke. I'm like, wow, look, I was all on board. But I know what it is now to know the truth. And no one is perfect. Trump is not perfect, but neither are the Democrats. And I had to find out that who has done more harm to even me as a black person. Black people in America should have never casted a vote for frickin' Biden. What he did to us in that 1994 crime bill. That's still affecting black people today. When you remove fathers, sons, brothers, nephews out the house, who's going to teach the children? That's why then the kids start getting into trouble because mom is working 2 jobs. So mom is not able to watch her children because her husband is in jail. He could have did something petty because you can get arrested just for being black, whether y'all realize that or not.
That's why.
And once you remove the male figure out of the house and they don't have a role model, see how you look at Deion Sanders, when fathers are in the house, it makes a difference for any nationality. It doesn't matter your ethnicity. When you remove that father, the head of the household, it's going to affect your children and your family. And then they go to the streets and they want the Jordans. They want the the Kobe's, they want the LeBrons, they want, those, the sneakers, they want the Supreme, they want the Versace, they want the Birkin bags. So then they're dealing with the drug dealers. And then they get themselves in trouble because they didn't have the father to tell them, no, you could use your two hands, you go to school, get that degree, become that engineer, become that doctor, become that lawyer, become that judge, become that astronaut, become that scientist. There are options. And a mind is a terrible thing to waste. But when you don't have direction, it trickles down to everyone. And that's why Black people are still in the dilemma we're in. So he knew what he was doing, locking Black people up. They'll take a young guy, 20 years old, and a judge will look at him 20. You think he did something petty, real petty. Maybe a $100 crime. You got 20 years out of his life. 20, they drop years like it's nothing on these children. On people. Then they get raped in jail. No, how come being raped in jail isn't a crime? They're allowing these people to get raped in jail. Rape is a crime. And they're not being held responsible. Then they come back out in society, uneducated, been in jail, things have changed, no family, and nothing. Then they eat. Then they're committing a crime. That's why it's a cycle, a rotation. They go back in because they can't get a job. They're unskilled. So jobs, just like they are doing in El Salvador, they showed you the bad part with the jails, with the NS-13 gangs and all of that. But they didn't show you the part how that president, you got to watch it. The way he's rehabilitating them, they're learning skills. They're learning, getting college degrees. They working on farms in this country. They're making desks. They learning how to be doctors, CPR. He has a phenomenal program to rehabilitate. And the United States should take that part. That part they need to take instead of letting people be in prison. And so when they come back out, they are skilled and educated, and then they'll be a positive to society.
That's why I've heard before someone saying that jail.
See if he's on yet.
That jail's like the new slavery.
Jail is. That's how you have slavery. It's through jail. And they take a young person and they're like, oh, he can give us 30 years. Like take their whole life for something that's minor. But somebody else of a different ethnicity, they get probation or they don't get any time at all. And that's what's been going on. But that's what Biden did. And we're up there and he's telling you're not Black unless you vote for me. How insulting and offensive is that? And then his counterpart, Kamala, she locked up Black people. Black people. She even tried to get a notch on her belt with the death penalty. Tried to have somebody executed that didn't commit the crime. That Gavin Newsom had the DNA taken. So those two, and then they were not working. They didn't even work their whole presidency. So I don't know, it was, people said allegedly it might have been Obama's, got a third term, but Biden was not running this country. He was not running this country. And it's sad that that our people, as of today, Jesus be back before we get it together as Black people. We just go along with the mainstream media. They're going to take this away from you. They lied to us. You know how many Black people think DEI actually affected us because of people like Roland Martin and Al Sharpton. He gonna march people into Costco, talking about don't shop at Target or Amazon. And DEI might have been meant for us, but it wasn't for us. They made Black people the poster child for DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But it didn't help. It wasn't for us. But they like, oh, that's a DEI that's here. But no, DEI didn't help us. DEI is a white woman. That's who benefited from it. And then Asian, and then indigenous, and LGBTQ, and disabled, and seniors, and vets, and I probably forgot someone. But we were number 9 on the list. Only like 3% of us. We didn't benefit from DEI. But that's how the media spins everything. And they telling Black people, you're going to lose this, and we boycott. We boycott, but that wasn't for us. That's how dumb we have been. It's not for us. They didn't have to boycott because here we go. We're going to fight for, that wasn't our rights. But we're so misled as people that we need to learn to vote for policy. Vote for policy. Don't be voting for a party that's not going to do anything for you. And we should have voted for Trump this election because Trump was the one that was responsible for the First Step Act. The First Step Act, look it up. Fact check the First Step Act.
Larry, I know what you're trying to do. You're just trying to upset people, but it's not working, dude.
The First Step Act was that's when Trump had that bill passed in Congress that Obama couldn't get done, and Biden certainly wasn't going to get done because it went against him locking black people up, locking fathers up. And these judges still had the mindset to over-sentence black people, and that's not right.
James,
and we're arrested more than anyone else. Not that we commit more crimes, because it's less of us than white people.
James.
It's just that they arrest us more. As soon as you look at a black person, it doesn't matter if you're wearing Versace, pulling up in a Rolls Royce, you are always still a suspect. Ask the stars.
James, you don't even know what you're talking about. Ask Ryan Coogler.
You know, it doesn't matter what you have on. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. You'll have somebody from Dollar General following you around in a store. and we're like, if you're white, or look, you can just chop off, steal all you want to. Just send in a black person. Let a black person go in first. They'll watch them, and you could just take. Oh yeah, I need this. Put in my pot. Need that. You know.
The other day I saw a white guy walking around with a ski mask on.
He got a ski mask on, and it's hot.
Yeah.
Hey,
See, if you're black with a ski mask on, you're going to jail, baby.
Well, with a ski mask, hey, that's how the world is, because the media has made it so that black people are supposed to be viewed as a threat instead of a positive. And black people have contributed so much to this country. Black people, this is not the 1960s. We're educated, articulate, college graduates, entrepreneurs, scientists, doctors, billionaires. You know how many billionaires we have, especially foundational black people. We like the second highest spending, I think, in the world are black Americans.
And Ben Carson is a brain surgeon.
You know
how difficult that is?
We put like $1.7 trillion into this country every year without spending.
Oh, someone said Native Americans love Trump.
Yeah, God bless you.
God bless you.
You know, so Trump is trying to, and so the thing about him is that he doesn't have to walk around being racist. I'm not saying there are Republicans that are racist, that feel as though that only white people have brains. Even like God didn't give us all the same brain. The only thing God did differently was that because of the sun, he gave us different complexions. He gave us melanin. That's what God did. But I promise you, in heaven, there's not an only white section. There's not an only black section or Asian or indigenous. We're all children of God. And it's beautiful how God has made each of us. I like the diversity. I like that we look different. I like that we are different. But we all have the same heart, lungs, brains, and we're capable of anything. We are geniuses. You know, all that mainstream media, that's what we need to stop. The lies of the mainstream media, and put up accomplishments, things that are really going on, and stop putting black men in jail. You want a better society? Stop locking up the fathers all for stupid stuff, because you need slave labor. Find another way to get things done. You know, so our people have to come together and need leadership that are going to focus on putting the best person in office. And that's why this election, you have more black people vote for Trump. And this is a time that black women should have followed the black man. He was right. They let the black man lead. He was right on Trump. You know, and they still all up in their pants. Like, you have some eagles that didn't want to go to the White House.
Someone said something true, too.
No.
We've had a Democrat in office for 12 out of the last 16 years.
Yeah. And this is the condition. And they wonder, how you going to blame a man that's been in office for 100 days? And then when he did have his term 8 years ago, it was a great term. We were doing well. There were no wars. There was no people coming in over the borders, no invasion. None of this stuff was going on that we're going through now. This is what happened in 4 years.
Yeah, I was a Trump supporter the first time around. My mom,
Oh, I was throwing in there. Look,
she threw
yeah,
my
look at my videos. You'll see. Look at my video. I think I did it like 4 videos ago. Look at my playlist. You'll see. Biden and I, we taking selfies together. Okay, selfies together. You could look at another of my videos. I think is I got like no, that's the 1.2 million viral video. Or you could do another video, see me like welcoming Biden to like my city. I could put a picture of Bernie, all of these Democrat candidates. I've given rallies. I've been called to speak at rallies and different supporting them. I have canvassed. I have teams and groups of people canvassing and all over the country.
yeah.
And making calls and door to door and sitting around the executive board like we're going to see what Trump, see if they not doing the executive board yet. Not yet. See,
Yeah.
that was good time, but it's not yet.
And I have my Trump hat she threw away.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually follow Trump's politics. I just liked his personality.
That's because he was younger.
I was still in
Yeah.
high school. I just liked his personality.
Yeah, well, he had the Trump hat, and here I am campaigning tooth and nail, his sister and I, especially me, for Biden and Kamala. So I'm responsible for the condition of this country. But when they ran, I didn't remember hearing them say it's going to open up the borders. I didn't know that they were going to, hightail out of Afghanistan, leaving all our equipment and causing them to be able to rebuild. And now they're on the verge that they can buy a nuclear weapon. That's serious. I didn't know all this stuff that was going to happen. So, but not this time.
Yeah.
Not this time. This time, I'm with him on this. I'm with my son on this. Trump.
You see something.
Trump. I'm like, oh, heck no.
Yeah, you see something's wrong with that.
He was the smart one. Mom is involved in politics. Mom is a legislative director of publications and legislation. Mom was like, he's in the House. And he know I'm on the phone with senators and Congress people, like cell phone number. We talking, and he running around with some Trump. Yeah, he's running around with some Trump hat. So we were night and day.
Yeah.
It took me now 4 years later. I started saying, oh, what's going on here?
And you see something's wrong with that party when Kamala's having
the smart one,
abortion clinic outside of her.
The DNC, the Democratic National Conference.
Abortion clinic.
And I went to the last one. It was like when you go to those conferences, if you are able to attend, because you have to have connections or be a part of, you got to debate to even get in there. And I was like on the floor and stuff, and it's like spectacular. But I had no idea that they were going against Americans. The Democrats are not about Americans. They do not talk about Americans. To ask them what resolutions have they had for American citizens in the last 100 days. Ask them, which is not 4 years. Let's say the last 100 days since Trump, he's given account of what he's done since being president of his 100 days, first 100 days. We're not going to talk about 4 years. Ask them what have they done for American citizens in the last 100 days. Ask them. Ask them, what have they done for American citizens in the last 100 days? Because they try to deflect, and they were talking about Trump, but Trump is working. Trump, okay, let's start with closing the borders. They went from 240,000, whatever, per month, and we down to 3 people. I thought you couldn't do anything unless you did some kind of executive order. Not 3 people. Trump has just about sealed that border. That's a big deal. Because we can't keep having people pour in to a broke country. I know we look rich, but we're broke. We're broke. We're broke. All our money is going to other countries. We're the ATM of the world. Bank of America is closed. It's closed now. It's closed. We can't do it any longer. We have to put America first. We're so busy trying to help everyone else that we don't even help ourselves. Yeah, border support, amen. We're helping the world, but when our people had a hurricane in North Carolina and Florida and all that, they said no money for you. FEMA, the guy, who was it? What was his name? I can't think of his name. What was the the person in charge of the border, FEMA, he was like, oh, we don't have any money. And then they like, oh, don't say that. They gave all the money to the illegal immigrants. So when Americans had a hurricane, they wouldn't rescue them. Even people that wanted to go up in their own private helicopters, because our government did not come to help them. They let those people die. And they told them if they used their helicopters, they were going to lock them up. They didn't have nothing. They gave nothing. Those people wound up living in tents out in the freezing cold while we housed immigrants in luxury hotels. Then we had the wildfires. And they told them, oh, you got $750. But guess what? They had no internet.
Thanks, man.
They had nothing. And then they got denied even $750. Can you live over $750? They lost schools, communities, their jobs. They lost everything. And our government didn't come. Is it on yet?
No, it's happening a little late.
Our government didn't come to help them. Nobody came to help Americans. No other country came to help Americans. Love you back. Love you. God bless you. Yeah, he's been on here a lot. Yeah, might make him a monitor. Yeah, so we consider him for a monitor if he wants to be one. So nobody's come. What about the wildfires in California?
Yeah.
$50 billion.
And Gregory said, ask Chicago why they red now. Oh, Chris.
Okay, we're not, all right. Yeah. And now even Gavin Newsom from California, he's trying to backtrack because he was saying, all for transgender, you're transgender. Now he's like, okay, it really isn't fair to have these men in sports against women. And the Democrats went after his neck because he knows he's going to have to kind of curtail all of that because you're not going to get elected again. Because America is saying, look, that delusion is over with. A man is a man, a woman is a woman. Those are facts. Whether, we can't all be in bubble land with you. You don't want to accept what you are, but you want us to accept what you are not.
You can't agree to disagree about that.
It's only two genders. It doesn't matter. That DNA will never lie. That DNA will never lie. You can put lipstick on a pig and it's still a pig.
Concerned. Why weren't you worried about the price of eggs when Biden was in office, dude?
For 4 years.
Yeah.
This stuff didn't just happen.
Bidenomics.
Oh, and then Kamala said Bidenomics is working, y'all. Yeah, it's working. And do you think that we're not reaping the repercussions of that administration and you're so delusional that you don't hold them accountable? Trump didn't do this. Trump is trying to fix this. Did you hear that? For those in the back, Trump is trying to fix this, what they have done to this country. That's the whole purpose of his candidacy. That's the whole purpose of him running, because somebody had to fix this.
Now Scott is saying, well, Joe Biden didn't promise to lower egg prices.
He had everything to do with the economy. What are you talking about? He caused the high prices of food, not just eggs. Everybody uses eggs as a talking point. He's the cause of food pricing. All of this that's going on are the Democrats, and they have done all this crap, and they are smart. That mainstream media, that Hollywood, that agenda, boy, they know how to take and brainwash all of us while they did this to us. And you know who they got you protesting against? The person who didn't. The person who didn't. The person who wasn't in office. That's how powerful the media is.
And why is nobody...
They powerful.
Why is nobody questioning him pardoning his entire family?
Yeah, the truth doesn't care about people's feelings. You're being played on. Yeah, Trump.
Hear me?
Huh?
Why isn't nobody talking about him pardoning his entire family?
Yeah, they don't talk about. That's a good point. No, the Democrats quiet on that. Okay, y'all. What other president in the history of the United States of America had to pardon his entire family, starting with his son and the lying laptop stuff? And he never met with Russia or China president and Xi and stuff. And then they produced pictures with him, his son with President Xi. How come nobody talk about he pardoned his son for 10 years? 10 years.
That's suspect.
Prior, 10 years. They want you to go back in time. Anything he might have done 10 years ago, pardon him for that too. Pardon his entire family. Nobody, if Trump pardoned his entire family, the whole world would be blowing up. The whole world. Yeah, top tier woman. You know, it's like people pick and choose. But when are you going to give? Why don't you make the demand? What if the country could better if those freaking Democrats were held accountable and then they start solving some of these problems that they cause? How about them getting on board with President Trump and they work this out like they're supposed to? They caused it. He's trying to fix it. And they're doing everything they can to stop him from fixing this mess. And then he got the crazy Americans up there. Don't fix it. Don't deport. Don't do this. But we want a better country. How about them working to fix this mess that they caused? Why, if y'all held them responsible, wouldn't that make America better? Wouldn't that be more supportive of the American people? But they don't want that because it's all about greed, money, and elections. It's about votes. It's not about the welfare of the Democratic Party is supposed to be the party of the working people, American people. They don't care about Americans. They don't even talk about Americans. They listen to all of them. Every last one of them, from the top to the bottom. They don't, from Schumer to Hakeem Jeffries to Cory Booker to AOC to Bernie Sanders to Jasmine. They don't talk about helping us. They don't talk about anything to do for us. Matter of fact, y'all don't even demand them to do anything for us.
Oh, Mom, Trump is there now.
He is? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, wait a minute.
I'm just looking at chat.
I'm not going to say, but I'm not sure if Biden did $1 trillion for 4 years, $1 trillion. But we're
bless
$8
you.
trillion for 2 months, because let's give us a pass on the first month. We were sort of getting a little bit used to things.
God bless America.
After 2 months, we have $8 trillion. There's never been a number like that.
God bless
And
you.
then it includes chip companies, car companies, every form of manufacturing, high-tech companies. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. So $8 trillion. I can talk about gross domestic product, gross domestic investment. I can talk about a lot of things, but to me, the biggest numbers are the kind of numbers that are, and these people are coming in.
Gulf of America,
our
gotta get that
Secretary of
hat.
Commerce spent the weekend. He went down to Arizona to see what was happening with the biggest chip company in the world. And he said, Howard, you've never seen anything like it. You want to just describe what you saw?
So they're investing $165 billion in
Listen.
1,100 acres in Arizona, and they're building the highest tech chip manufacturing, semiconductors, and 4,000 employees. You know, American tradecraft, right? Technicians doing every kind of work. The classic foundation of America is building it. They have 14,000 people. They're expecting 40,000 people to build the rest of their plants and to employ 20,000 people for the rest of the time. This is all driven.
You never saw a site like that.
And this is all driven by your tariff policies. No chance this will be happening without you.
It's going to be about 40% of the chip market from that one section, and this is the biggest chip maker. They have 99% of the market. They come from Taiwan, and unlike the CHIP Act, which was done by Biden, where they hand everybody billions of dollars, the thing they don't need is money. They got plenty of money. What they need is an incentive to come in, and the tariffs, they're building because of the tariffs. Without the tariffs, and I like to say they're building because of November 5th, the election, and the tariffs, but I'm going to be a little more blunt. They're building because of the tariffs, and November 5th gave them the tariffs. So it's amazing when you look. And these are not companies that go out and say, well, we're going to build, we have to go get our financing. Let's go. Like we would, in New York, everybody would look, you get a building site, and then you'd look around for money, you'd look around for financing for 6 months, you'd get your financing. You'd build your building, the market would be good, you'd make money, the market would be bad, it wouldn't be so pretty, you'd have to negotiate, blah, blah, blah. This is different. These people have so much money, they don't know what to do. I asked Howard, did they finance it? No, they do it through cash. And they say that site, and they just started you know, they just announced it like a month ago, and they've already started. He said, "I've never seen a site like it so big." So, you know, you're talking about essentially a $50 billion building. Now, if you build a warehouse for $50 million, that's a big warehouse, Scott. But a $50 billion building, that's a lot. They're building the electric, they've become a utility. And I've given them the right to become. They're gonna build their own electric, they're gonna build their own electricity, which they need tremendous amounts of electricity. They're gonna build it themselves. Anything they have left over, they'll hook that into the grid. But the grid is old and they're unreliable and bad things can happen to grids. I said, if you want, you can hook into the grid, but that's a little bit risky. Or you can build your own electricity and become your own utility. And they, I think in all cases, are deciding to do that. So it's very exciting, and we have a lot of things going. We took over on January 20th. These are quarterly reports. We took over on January 20th. The tariffs haven't kicked in yet. I know that, and I don't want this to happen, but I know that China is doing very poorly right now. I just saw some reports coming out, and I don't want that to happen to China. I like the president a lot, President Xi. I don't want it to happen. I was actually saddened to hear it, but they're getting absolutely hammered in China. And, you know, they're sending boats, the biggest boats in the world, carrying cargo like nobody's ever seen before. These are the biggest boats in the world, biggest cargo ships in the world, and they're coming and they're turning around in the Pacific Ocean. They're doing a big U-turn and going back because they don't want the goods, because 145% tariff. But at a certain point, I hope we're going to make a deal with China. We're talking to China, but their factories are closing all over China because we're not taking their product. We don't want their product unless they're going to be fair with us. And that includes
That's
intellectual property and other things. There are a lot of things far beyond just buy, sell. So we'll see what happens. But, you know, I was not, because somebody said, well, were you happy? I said, I am not happy. I want China to do well. I want every country to do well. But they have to treat us fairly also. So with that, I think we're going to maybe go around, and we have some letters where the secretaries and people around the table are making statements about how they're doing and what's happening. And I could start with Pete on the left, because he's my least controversial person in the room. Well, they don't know how good it is. So we'll go around the table and you can hear it. And these are cabinet meetings where they're very open and transparent. And I can guarantee you Biden didn't do this.
No,
didn't do this.
never.
Go ahead, Pete.
Well, Mr. President, I think we're controversial because we're over the target. And like so many things, Mr. President, you inherited a demoralized military that couldn't recruit, that was perceived this week after what happened in Afghanistan and elsewhere because of Joe Biden. And what we've seen since your election and the inauguration has been nothing short of a recruiting renaissance. Decades, it hasn't been decades since we've seen this kind of recruiting in the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force. The men and women of America want to join the United States military led by President Donald Trump.
And the police, by the way.
Absolutely.
And fire. I always mention the fire, but the police and fire, likewise they have waiting lists now, and 6 months ago was a disaster.
Truly historic. We can barely absorb the volume and retention as well. Men and women in the military who don't want to get out now that they have a real commander-in-chief. We're reinforcing standards. We're going to be fit, not fat, in our formations. We welcome back all the the folks that were forced out because of the COVID mandate. Rip wokeness out of the military, sir, DEI, trans, and it's Fort Benning and Fort Bragg again at the DoD. We're rebuilding the military, sir. The Golden Dome is well underway. F-47, reassuring allies and deterring enemies. We found nearly $6 billion in DOGE savings that we're going to reinvest, including $50 billion from the Biden administration focused on things like climate that have nothing to do with lethality and warfighting. And we'll have, as you said, sir, the first $1 trillion budget that we plan to spend wisely on behalf of our warfighters. From day one, sir, we've gotten helped get 100% operational control of the border, come alongside DHS and CBP. We've got 11,000 troops on the border who now, because of the new national defense area, sir, can help detain illegals at the border and hand them over to CBP. It used to be if you saw camouflage on the border, they could hold binoculars, and that's it. And now we can detain and assist, and we're going to get 100% operational control of that border. Our NATO allies know they have to step up. The Houthis in the Middle East are feeling the weight of American power, and we're deterring communist China. So because of your leadership, sir, I believe we're making the military great again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Howard?
So I have the pleasure of running the Investment Accelerator, which gets to recruit these companies. And you've never seen anything like the companies committed to building in America. Technology companies have committed over $2.5 trillion to build in America based on your tariffs. Right? Sovereign countries, all backing the whole Middle East and all these countries backing the sovereign wealth funds. They all want to invest in America, and they're coming in again. Over $3 trillion committed. So just those two topics, you're at $5.5 trillion. And then you've got the whole pharma industry knows it's got to come home because America pays for all the drugs in the world. So the pharmaceuticals have to come home, right? Auto's coming home, industrial's coming home. So, we've got to train, and your great Secretary of Labor together and Secretary of Education together, we're going to train the workforce to build America. It's unbelievable. We've got so much, as I travel around, the attention on the Trump Gold Card. I mean, it makes me very popular. Last night, I was out to dinner, and someone came up and said, can I buy 10? And how do I buy 10? And I'm like, it's pretty good. It's $50 million for dinner. So, I was paying for my dinner. The External Revenue Service, right? You've got the tariffs, and then hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars coming in to build the External Revenue Service. That our objective, of course, is to replace the Internal Revenue Service and let those outside countries trading with us, let them pay their fair share to America. And then, of course, you got rid of de minimis. And what happened is these foreign countries were sending in little packages for free and knocking out our mom and pop businesses across America. You put an end to it, and you're going to rebuild the mom and pop and the small business of America. You're their president, and I'm proud to support you.
It's very important, de minimis. It's it's a big deal. It's a big scam going on against our country, against really small businesses, and we've ended.
This is live.
Into it.
Mr. President. So, CAFE standards, we have the fuel economy standards on vehicles that are going to go to 50 miles per gallon. We are going to rewrite those standards, bring it down to something that's far more reasonable. Elon's fine with that, I hope. But it's going to drive down. It's going to drive down the price of a car.
This is an executive board meeting for people who never attended one.
Also, Biden had the social cost of credit when we build infrastructure, roads, and bridges, adding 3 to 5% on infrastructure costs. We've gotten rid of the social cost of carbon, driving down the cost to build roads and bridges across the country. We have what is called follow the law. So we have so many states and municipalities that don't follow the law. So whether it's DEI, discriminating against Americans, whether they give illegals driver's license, or their sanctuary cities or states, if you don't follow the law, if you're giving license to illegals, if you're having DEI policies, we're not going to fund your projects. So you got to certify in your state or in your city to get road and bridge money or rail money that you're actually following the law, which includes executive orders from you, Mr. President. We're cutting back funding. We said research money, Mr. President, to universities to do research on more equitable and sustainable transportation systems. Projects that'll use data and public opinion to inform policy and infrastructure and technology benefiting diverse communities, including women and gender non-conforming people. Just stupid waste of money. We're pulling that money back from universities. We should do good research if we have to do research in universities. And then one last thing, air traffic control. We don't have enough air traffic controllers, about 3,000 short. We're working on an agreement with the union, so when controllers become retirement eligible, we're going to cut a deal to try to get them to stay longer, to stay in the tower. And then we have a plan to put more butts and seats in Oklahoma City, so we can get more students through the academy and into towers as well. It's going to take us a while to do that, to train them up, but we're in the process before our 4 years are done. Well before that, we're going to be at full capacity.
Sure, you want to tell about, I think we have to bring it up. We have very obsolete equipment for air traffic controllers. The equipment, the towers have horrible equipment. It's been renovated for years. The money they spent over the last 4 years, this booted edge did a horrible job. They wasted billions and billions of dollars hooking up wire equipment to non-wire equipment to satellite equipment, and you're not, a third grade student would know it doesn't work, you can't work. And they wasted tens of billions of dollars. But we want to put a brand new air traffic control system in, and you might want to describe that.
You and I have talked about this. It's a state-of-the-art system, envy of the world, and it's. I mean, listen. Our system is safe, but you would have hoped someone would have seen that there's a problem with fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters coming in at DCA. Someone should have seen that before we lost almost 70 lives. It's our job to look and see that we have an aging infrastructure around air traffic control. And so, if we don't build a brand new system, there's going to be failures and people will lose their lives. And so, we need to help Congress to help fund this. But it's going to be all brand new. And after you build a brand new system, we have the bedrock and the foundation to actually build on top of it. But no one has done this, Mr. President. There's Band-Aid fixes that have happened over the course of 20 years. You can't have a Band-Aid fix. It doesn't get done. It has to be brand new. The technology, it looks like it's out of a 1980s movie. Old computers, floppy disks. We're using copper wires, not fiber. So there are great solutions we have available. And by the way, if everyone's sick of their delayed flights or their canceled flights, we have more capacity in the airspace. And if we rebuild this brand new system, what you'll have is more efficiency in the airspace, and it will be safer. So the economy will be stronger. We can have more flights and less delays. So I appreciate your support on that, Mr. President.
Rebuilding that is very important. You wouldn't have had the helicopter crashing into the plane at 400 feet up, when it's supposed to be 200 feet. That would have, bells and whistles would have been gone over, and you would have heard the screaming equipment saying, "There's a problem coming up in 15 seconds. You got to do something about it right now." And it would have also sent the word right into the helicopter, because I guess you'll be doing the full report on that. But it was pretty obvious what happened.
Right.
And there was supposed to be 200 feet. There were 400 feet, and a terrible thing. And that wouldn't have happened if we had the right equipment. If we had the right equipment, you would have heard bells and whistles going off, and it would have alerted long before that would have happened. 2 minutes before, so we would have had a lot of time. So we have to do this. We have no choice, and we're going to do it, and we're going to be very proud of it. They did old equipment in new equipment, and you can't hook in old equipment to new equipment because it's a different. Some is satellite and some is ground. The satellite doesn't work. This man would know that better than anybody, but you can't hook up a satellite system to a ground wired system. And if you do, you're wasting a lot of money. They spent billions. This is Buttigieg. They spent billions and billions of dollars trying to patch a system together. They had hundreds of different contractors, and the contractors were all fighting with each other. We're going to have one great big contractor, like the great big beautiful bill, which is going along very well. I guess I like great big beautiful, but we're going to have one great big beautiful contractor, whether it's maybe Raytheon, maybe IBM, maybe it could be any one of 4 or 5 different groups, but you put one in charge. They're very big, very powerful monetarily, and they give you a guarantee, and they hook up everything. They do every single thing. So they're responsible for the digging of the ditches and the fiber and every single element. And it's one system that's hooked in. It's not all these hodgepodge systems that don't work together. It's just a shame. It's basic construction, but it's complex stuff. And there are a few companies that do it unbelievably well, and we're going to have that. So, good job, John. I know that's your big project.
Mr. President, no one has done it. It is complex. It's hard to do because as you're building a brand new system, you have planes taking off and landing. So because it's complex, no one has done it, and you've given the directive and the support to make this happen. So
well, ours is going to be an all new system. It's going to all hook up. It's going to be the same tower is going to have the same equipment. And all towers all over the country, all over the world actually, mostly, are going to be hooked in together. And when there's a problem, when planes are too close, you will hear a sound that's very ear-shattering. And I've heard it, and it's amazing. I mean, honestly, it's amazing. It's real genius stuff, and we didn't do that. What we did was just waste money. You could have just thrown it right out the window. What they did in this last 4 years was disgraceful. Whether it was the border or this, you name 100 different things. The worst administration ever. Okay, thank you. Mr. Secretary?
Yeah, Mr. President, thank you. And I think one of the things that I want to understand about the VA is we're part of the national security interests you have. You've laid the groundwork for that, it's leadership and making sure that with the Secretary of Defense and myself, we take care of veterans on two ends. One when they come in, and one when they serve and they've earned the benefits that we have. And one of the things is if we're not doing our job on our end, then the recruitment and all goes down the other end because we have a full spectrum. That's what leadership is about. What we found, speaking in the last 4 years, is we found an administration wanted to throw money and people at problems, but they didn't want to put leadership in. They just put money and people at it, and we saw wait times stay the same. We saw issues of suicide rates, death by suicide, not change. We saw homelessness issue barely go down. We saw disability claims skyrocket. When you took place, over 250,000 back dislodge, which we're already bringing down almost 40,000 so far just in the last couple of months. But we've also put back what you, and I was in Congress when this happened, and I was glad to see it, the Mission Act is back front and center at the VA. We're actually doing community care. We're actually giving the veteran the choice that they've earned and they deserve, whether they can get their VA care inside our facilities or in the community. It's their choice. It's VA care. We're going to give them the highest quality care wherever they want to go. Also, we're expanding out options for treatments and others for those that are new. We're experimenting and looking at new counseling ideas, all new drug techniques that we can help with PTSD, TBI, and things that are affecting our veterans right now. But also, we've taken the leadership to take people and bring them back into work, where they're actually communicating. They're back in our offices. We've put thousands of people back in. We're processing more claims daily than we were in the last little bit, hit 1 million before it's ever happened, and we're actually bringing it down. I've actually taken our deputy secretary, and he is actually having a strike force now to bring down that disability claim, plus our regular work that we're having done. We've also taken almost $300+ million and taken it out of contracts that we've all heard about so far. We were doing contracts for meeting notes and PowerPoints. And if our folks didn't know how to do meeting notes and PowerPoints, go online and learn yourself. We're not going to pay for it anymore. And we took $360 million and put it back into community care and also our health records management system that we have. We've opened 6 new facilities just in the last little bit. For so all the media who wants to talk about how we're hurting healthcare, we just opened 6 new facilities. By the way, thank you. You're welcome. As we go from that, we continue. We've also took $11.6 billion in ceiling values of contracts and terminated that we did not need, resulting in significant cost avoidance for the future, but also still maintaining the ability to take care of our patients and also our disability benefits. We've also gotten unity again. We did away with $14 million in DEI spending. We've ended gender dysphoria treatments. We phased that out. All directed the savings from that go to paralyzed veterans and amputees. We've also continued to work toward, as you've, in anti-Semitism and also anti-Christian bias that we saw. The biggest thing, though, Mr. President, I want to say, is you told me when you said for me to take this job, you said take care of my veterans. Well, we've done something in taking that step forward. The veteran is back first at the VA. The VA is not about itself anymore. We're not a self-feeding animal. It's about a service organization that takes care of one of the best that we have, and that's our veterans. And that, Mr. President, we're just getting started.
How are you doing with the suicide rates?
We're getting, it's tough, Mr. President. That's something we're looking at. This is something that we've had $588 million and it's spent over the last 4 or 5 years to do prevention, and yet the numbers stay at 17 or 21, wherever you don't have it. We're now opening that back up, taking in nonprofits. We're bringing in others who have things that are actually looking at. I worked with Secretary Kennedy and others on the idea of we're opening up the possibility of psychedelic treatment and others that give us an opportunity. We got to research it, make sure it's good, but it's opening up that possibility. And I think, again, veterans are understanding now that we're putting them first. I'm getting, when I go to these hospitals, they're actually coming out saying thanks. We're back in where we need to be, and we're seeing a workforce develop. So suicide is going to come out. It's also going to take some transition stuff that your Secretary of Defense has been very helpful on. We've got to transfer them out of the military so they come to us better, but we're working on that.
Jameson?
Mr. President, it may come as a surprise, but this has been the busiest 100 days in the history of the
In history. You know, this is the biggest deal ever done. If you sold IBM, ExxonMobil, and 5 other companies together, it's peanuts compared to what we're doing. This is the biggest deal ever done financially in the history of the world. And I think we're doing great. You're going to see some big, big results. Go ahead.
And I'll just say something that Secretary Duffy said in his context, that because it's complex, no one has done it. So this is something, a reordering of global trade that hasn't happened since the end of World War II. And it's long overdue because we've seen manufacturing offshore under the old global trading system. When the net result of the global trading system is that all the manufacturing goes to Asia and other places, that's a system you have to replace, and that's what you're doing. They said you wouldn't be able to do global tariffs. We did it. They said everyone would retaliate. No one retaliated outside of China. They said no one would come to negotiate. We're talking to dozens of countries. They said no one would have offers. We have dozens of written offers.
Go ahead.
We have lots of countries in this week. This
That's
is like
right.
for me to come.
With all the countries that want to negotiate, they all want to negotiate, they want to make a deal.
Don't zoom in on this. Yeah, this is like a tracker, right, with all these columns of which countries have come in, when we started negotiations, who gave us an offer, are we in technical talks, and when do we expect to have deals come. Those are some weeks out, but we're working very quickly on this. Thank you.
Thank you, James. You're gonna have a lot of fun for the next 3 weeks.
Mr. President, for the last 4 years, the world experienced a total lack of zero leadership under Biden. And then we've had 100 days of your leadership with respect, with strength, starting with there'll be all hell to pay if you don't let our people go. Dozens, over 40 Americans have come home under your leadership. Far more terrorists are no longer threatening the homeland under your leadership, pulling all of these agencies together, including the evil individual responsible for the Abbey Gate bombing, and to sit with the 13 Gold Star families, and you showing that follow-up and that justice has been incredible. But pulling this great team together, Mr. President, everything from revitalizing shipyards to cyber to space, that takes this entire team working together. It's an honor to serve you in this administration, and I think the world is far better, far safer for it.
Thank you very much. The Abbey Gate is really important. This was a horrible thing that destroyed the image, frankly, of the Biden administration. What happened there was a disgrace. It should have never happened, and Pam is working very much on prosecuting that person. We have the person, and he'll do well. I have no doubt about it.
I don't know.
Thank you very much, Michael. So the CIA, I don't know, Ratcliffe, I don't know if he's gonna say anything. He's probably the one person here that's not allowed to talk about the great job he's done, but go ahead anyway.
Mr. President, as you know, at your direction, the CIA has deployed our unique covert action authorities in various places and continents to successfully advance your national security and foreign policy priorities, to advance peace, to end wars, to take terrorists off the battlefield, and to keep illicit drugs from coming into this country and harming Americans. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to detail your accomplishments in that regard, we can't do so in this crowd. But you and I both know, Mr. President, that you have had a profound positive impact on America's national security posture, and Americans are safer because of your leadership. What I can talk about publicly is, as has been mentioned, the CIA provided the intelligence that led to the apprehension of the Abbey Gate bomber, who is now being prosecuted by our great Attorney General and providing a measure of justice to those 13 families that suffered as a result of that disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal during the last administration. In addition, at your direction, Mr. President, the CIA has negotiated and secured the release of Americans like Mark Fogel and Ksenia Carolina, who have been wrongfully detained, sending the message that you will forget about no Americans that are being held in other places unfairly and unjustly. And finally, Mr. President, the CIA is being restructured at your direction to focus on our core mission and to eliminate the well-documented politicization that has taken place in the intelligence community from bad actors in the past, to focus on our core mission and to make America safe again. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. President.
Good job. You did a great job. Thank you very much. Russell?
We're obviously involved in a number of budget bills that are moving, trying to make sure all of your priorities are reflected in the reconciliation. Working on our upcoming budget, a wonderful job by the entire cabinet on that front. Details soon on that front. Sending up rescissions bills to Congress for things that Elon has found But the regulatory aspect is something we don't talk about enough, and right now you've given us a goal of 10 for 1. We are working right now with all of the agencies to rack up how big of a deregulatory agenda that we can have. When you came into office, you basically stopped $200 billion in costs to American families just by stopping the Biden regulatory agenda. That's about $2,000 per family. We think when we're gonna hit these 10 for 1 goals that we could be in the neighborhood of about $900 billion in savings to American families that would be substantially bigger than that $2,000 number. And the point that I would make, in addition to just savings cheaper to the American people,
This
there's an
isn't
aspect
FOXNEWS.
of wisdom when you're enforcing these rules that comes into play. And I'm your regulator for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Fox.
And we found
All we
this,
used to watch is
this
MSNBC.
small mortgage lender in Chicago. His name is Barry Sterner. He had a firm called Townstone. And CFPB had gone after him because he complained about crime in Chicago, literally the same thing that the Democrat mayor had talked about. And they came after him for 7 years on a redlining disparate impact claim and ruined his life. We overturned that. We apologized on your behalf to that individual, and we basically, without having to go through notice and comment, we ended the policy that set that in motion. And so that's happening across these agencies with how they are using their enforcement discretion, and it will only continue based on the stonewall backing that you've given us to make these hard calls. I don't think they're actually that hard, but no one's done it to this point, and we were able to go forward and do that because of the backing that you've given us.
So maybe the biggest thing we're working on, maybe bigger than tariffs in a certain sense, is we call it the one big beautiful bill. And that's wheeling its way right now through the Senate. And John Thune has been actually amazing. And the speaker has been so great, Congress. Mike Johnson has been really two guys that they get along great, and it's just been a beautiful, unified attack, really, because we have to attack because the Democrats are trying to stop it at every turn.
Every term, that's
It
all
would
they
mean a
do, no
58%
resolutions.
tax hike if they were successful, and lots of other bad things beyond the tax hike. But with us, it'll be the biggest tax cut in American history. How are we doing with the bill?
We're doing great. We're day in, day out, hour by hour negotiations to make sure your stuff is in there, and to make sure we have the border resources, the defense resources, and to save the American people some tax money and make sure all those tax cuts that you ran on are in there that help get people back into the workforce. And I think we're making a ton of progress.
I think we're doing well. Like I said, the biggest tax cut in the history of our country. And it would be the biggest tax increase if the Democrats are successful. They're the only people I've ever seen running for office where they want to increase taxes, but this would be a 58, maybe a 60% tax increase, unsustainable for the American people. Thank you very much, Rachel. Susie, the most powerful woman in the world. I agree with that. I agree.
I'll be brief so you can hear from these amazing people. Congratulations to everyone on 100 days. That's been it's unparalleled in my memory and best I can tell ever. But it hasn't been busy for busy's sake. The president's promises made to the American people have been kept time and time and time again. You all have been out there spreading the word with community groups and states and media. It hasn't gone unnoticed, and let's work hard for the next 100 and have equally as much success then. Thank you.
And you're doing a great job, Susie. I think everybody agrees. Everybody that disagrees, please. Please raise your hand if you have the courage to do so. Anyway,
You're fired.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Thank you. And you made it very clear that you want to put America first. And also from day one, you want to make housing affordable again, because we do have a housing affordability crisis in our country. And so at HUD, we've been cutting all red tape and bureaucracy as it pertains to housing affordability. And unleashing creativity of our builders and developers around our country and restoring local control. We took
100 days.
fair housing rule, as you know.
Not
with
4
the zoning
years,
tax from
like
Washington.
Biden.
So no longer will Washington be picking winners and losers, but localities and elected officials in different states and cities will have that flexibility. Also, you alluded to securing the border, and such a great job has been done with all of our partners at the table. And at HUD, we want to make sure that the resources that we have now, which is American taxpayer dollars, in the Biden administration, they prioritize illegal aliens over the American people.
Still are.
We signed an MOU with Secretary
And they'll
Dodd
fight, Democrats will fight you tooth and nail.
HUD-funded housing only goes to American citizens, and no longer will it go to illegal aliens coming across our border. We have about 9 million people living in subsidized housing in our country. 59% of illegal alien families use some sort of welfare program costing us $42 billion a year.
What?
And so we have prioritized American.
Are you kidding me?
To live in HUD.
$42 billion a year.
To make housing affordable, we also signed a partnership with Secretary Burgum and DOI to use underutilized federal lands, as you campaigned on and promised, to identify those lands to build affordable housing in our country.
You need to repeat all of
so that
this.
people can realize the American
So the ones
dream.
in the back
we
can
also
hear it.
restored biological truth, as you did in sports. We have the equal access rule at HUD, which we took that rule down to ensure that at women shelters, that those that enter those shelters would be of the same sex, and that we would protect the ladies of our country.
Yeah, from men.
No longer will those that identify
who need a therapist
as women but are not women be able to enter our shelter so we can protect the ladies that we serve. Along with our Doge task force, we identified over $2 billion in savings. At HUD, $260 million at HUD was just in contract, $4 million with DEI. And so we took those contracts down and de-obligated and sent back $1.9 billion back to the Treasury for the American people. Again, we want to be good stewards over the American taxpayer dollars. And so, Mr. President, thank you
He's a
for
pastor.
your leadership in this. And we have a tremendous team at HUD, and I'm so grateful to be part of this team around this table to take care of the American people. And I consider it a great honor and honor to do so. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm not sure if anyone's heard of the price of eggs this now. I know it's news. Listen, sir, today on, as we celebrate the 100th day, I think that it's just such a joy and an honor to continue to do this work, so thank you for that. We have been obviously very focused on the cost of groceries, specifically eggs led the way, as you have so eloquently discussed over the last few months, and we're holding tight on a very significant decrease, which is great, and investing where we need to there. As I mentioned before the press came in, we have had a massive issue with Mexico on water, getting water to our farmers along the border for decades. When I worked in Texas 25 years ago, we were fighting with the Mexican government over the water then. You got involved about 2 weeks ago. That evening, I started conversations, and as of just a few days ago, thanks to Secretary Rubio's great deputy secretary and I have been negotiating, and we hit the best deal, I believe, in history on behalf of our farmers, and thanks to your leadership and your strength on that. And that's a really big deal long term for those farmers in the southern part of the country. On the energy side, I know we've got Secretary Burgum and his partner Secretary Wright, but we often forget that agriculture has a major piece of the energy dominance agenda, not just timber, not just minerals,
How you call yourself a Christian into abortion and same-sex marriages?
That great leadership
Democrat
from those
policy.
Agencies and doing hopefully our part as well, and they've been incredible in that. Our farmers have been hurting under the Joe Biden administration. There was a 30% increase in the cost of input, so the cost of doing business for these farmers over those 4 years. When we left the White House the first time 4 years ago, we had a $0 trade deficit with our agriculture products. After 4 years of Biden, that hit $50 billion because they just didn't make an effort. And so obviously that's $50 billion less dollars at a time of very thin profitability for our agriculture community. So the Congress passed because the last administration didn't get a farm bill done either. The farmers were hurting there, so Congress stepped in. I say all that and basically said $10 billion to move out. USDA, fastest in history, that money went out to those farmers that couldn't make plant their crops. And so I'm really proud of that, and you'll hear a lot of that from our farmers today, that this USDA is moving more quickly than any ever before. And we're not organizing money based on the color of skin and other ways, which was how the last administration was moving out. We have canceled $6 billion in contracts thanks to our great friend Elon Musk and his Doge team. A lot of those were DEI, gender, studying transgender mice. Who knew the racism in pest management.
DEI is white women, not black people. You could look it up.
USDA is one of the biggest agencies. It's sort of a catch-all, and we're really, really downsizing and aligning around putting farmers first, which is really, really important. A big part of USDA is food stamps. It is perhaps one of the largest, if not the largest, welfare program, and it's a supplemental nutrition program. Secretary Kennedy and I have been working very closely. We were in Texas yesterday talking about nutrition and agriculture. You can't make America healthy again without your farmers and your ranchers as your partner. So ensuring that our food stamp program and those at the bottom end of the socioeconomic ladder really have access to nutritious foods as we're facing an obesity crisis and a chronic disease crisis, which I'm sure Secretary Kennedy will touch on. And the final thing I'll say is this morning, Secretary Noem and I, together, and I brought a picture because I think this is important and it goes to why we're here. This is a South Dakota ranching family named the Mods. They are a fifth generation ranching family. Charles Mod, in his 30s, bought the ranch from his granddad, I'm going to show the press, when he was 17 years old. Those beautiful children, Lyle and Kennedy, his wife Heather. Under the Biden administration, they had, of their several hundred acre operation, they used about 20 acres and had a fence that had been there since 1910 when their family took over the ranching operation. There had never been really any problem that had been brought to their attention. Perhaps there was a minor dispute over, again, 20 acres. This family was indicted, prosecuted, threatened with jail time, told to find guardians for their children over a fence line dispute that the Biden DOJ pushed forward. So this morning, on the steps of the U.S. Department of Agriculture with Secretary Noem, who was their governor, as the governor of South Dakota, which is where these great people are from, all criminal charges were dropped, and really appreciate the Department of Justice. It was a really big day as we sent a signal that the over-criminalization and using government, and you know this better than anyone because you were in the crosshairs for so long, that those days are over and the regulation through prosecution is no more. And so this family is one of many that we'll now be talking to ensure that never happens again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please, Scott.
Sir, it's been a momentous 100 days with you at the helm, and I view this 100 days as setting the table for peace deals, trade deals, tax deals. So the next 100 days will be harvesting. You've created negotiating leverage and leadership that are going to yield remarkable results. Energy costs have plummeted, mortgage rates are down, food costs are moving lower, and American families are finding their financial footing again. I had a group in today. America, under your leadership, is on the verge of becoming an AI superpower. That our economy had become barbelled. We had high tech and finance on one side, natural resources led by energy, which the previous administration tried to kill on the other, and you're filling in between with precision manufacturing that we're going to be bringing back through good trade policies, good tax policies. Under the Doge at Treasury and the IRS, cost, tech support, and efficiency have increased. We have the IRS, revenues are up, and thanks to the young man sent over by Doge, the IT update that began in 1990, which was begun before he was born, is going to be finished during your term. So trade, couldn't make it up, trade, taxes, and deregulation, the one big beautiful bill under your leadership, Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune have done a great job, but they have you as the closer on many of their members. And I'll just close by saying economic security is national security is economic security, and it's never been better. We're rebuilding it, and as I said last week at the IMF and World Bank conferences, America first does not mean America alone. Under President Trump, it means leadership.
Awesome.
Thank you. Are you busy now?
All right, Vance.
Mr. President, thank you, and thanks to the cabinet. So, at the risk of insulting everybody else at the table, I believe that I'm the youngest member sitting at the table. And, it occurred to me that from the time that I was born to the time that Donald J. Trump was inaugurated just a few months ago, we went from, again, 40 years, we went from the world's manufacturing superpower to one in which we depend on the People's Republic of China to make the things that we need. We went from the proudest military in the world to one in which we failed to meet our recruiting goals. And we went from one in which bipartisan border policy was the consensus of both Democrats and Republicans to one in which we allowed 20 million people to run roughshod illegally over the countryside, causing crime, causing a stress in the welfare system. And again, that happened over the lifetime of the youngest member of the cabinet. And what has happened in 100 days is that we've started to reverse every single one of those negative trends. And I think what it shows to me is that the president, and you sit in the Oval Office and you see these portraits of presidents past. And let's be honest, most of them have been placeholders. They've been people who've allowed their staff to sign executive orders with an auto pen instead of men of action. And the reason the media attacks this administration as chaotic is because the president is solving the problems the American people set about to solve. He's actually doing the things that he promised that he would do. And Mr. President, it's been an honor to be part of it for the past 100 days. And let me just make one other observation because it's interesting. I've seen the data, I've monitored it, I've looked at it, but the most underreported fact of the first 100 days is that we came in with a massive recruitment shortfall. And in 100 days with Secretary Hegseth and President Trump's leadership, we now have people breaking down the doors to join our military. To the media assembled here, it's a really interesting question. Why has that happened? Completely aside from the fact that I think it's a good thing or I think that President Trump deserves political credit for it, why did we go from a military where people didn't want to serve to now all of a sudden they do want to serve? That's a story you guys should cover, but compared to that, how much time have you instead focused on the fact that we deported an MS-13 gang member with a valid deportation order? And why is it that the press is so focused on the fake BS rather than what's really going on in the country? I think that what we've shown, sir, is that you can do a lot. You can do a lot in 100 days, but you've also unfortunately revealed that too much of the American media hasn't learned the lessons of the past 40 years. Thank you, sir.
President, your first 100 days has far exceeded that of any other presidency in this country, ever. Ever. Never seen anything like it. Thank you. Your directive to me was very simple. Make America safe. And despite that, we've still been defending over 200 civil lawsuits filed against you. On top of everything else, I think I'm representing every one of you in this room. I know you will not be arrested by the U.S. Marshals. Over 200 lawsuits, over 50 injunctions, and now we've got multiple cases in front of the Supreme Court, and we will succeed, and we are doing great in front of the Supreme Court, President, and we'll continue on with that. I was at DEA yesterday, and they said to me, you, Donald Trump, have taken the handcuffs off of DEA agents. And as a result of, since you have been in office, President Trump, your DOJ agencies have seized more than 22 million fentanyl pills.
Wow.
3,400 kilos of fentanyl since you've been your last 100 days, which saved, be ready for this media, 258 million lives. Kids are dying every day because they're taking this junk laced with something else. They don't know what they're taking. They think they're buying a Tylenol or an Adderall and a Xanax, and it's laced with fentanyl, and they're dropping dead. And no longer because of you, what you've done. ATF, since you've been in office, President, along with DOJ agencies, seized 14,500 guns off the streets. Why aren't people reporting that? 651,000 rounds of ammo. That's up 151% from 2024. That's keeping America safe. We've rescinded death penalty. We are now seeking the death penalty on cases. I'm signing death warrants. We are going after terrorism. We are going after arsonists. Whether you're burning Teslas, we've arrested 9 people so far in 7 jurisdictions, no negotiations, 20 years in prison, or you're burning down the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania. We will be there to protect you. And I've been talking to Governor Shapiro, and he greatly appreciated you reaching out as well. ISIS terrorist, we got one in New York, right around the corner. We got an ISIS terrorist in New York. We have an October 7th task force. We just broke up a huge human trafficking ring by the Sinaloa cartel. 1,000 pounds of methamphetamine on our streets. Ton of fentanyl, 20,000 Molly pills. Those are the drug of choice among at clubs and bars for young kids. They were fake, but you know what they had in them? Fentanyl. That's 20,000 lives saved because of you, right there. We brought back 29 cartel members from Mexico in your direction, and one killed the Kiki Camareno, a DEA agent in 1985, and many of us got to talk to his widow and his son, who is now a judge. And they started crying. They have tried to get that guy back forever, and thanks to so many of you in this room working together, they have justice. They were crying on the phone because of what you did, President Trump. Thank you. We're going after anti-Semitism. We're unleashing everything you told us. No more DEI, no more weaponization. We've rescinded, as I said, 200 policies, and I could go on all day long, but we are doing everything in our power to keep America safe at your direction. Thank you, President.
Nice to see you, Mr. President. Well, first of all, I think what you've heard amongst this team is the leadership, because it's given us the latitude really to collaborate amongst each other. Not only in this room, as Jameson mentioned, we kind of get a break for a couple of hours here, but we stay in contact actually every other day that we're working for you. And I think what that says is I was speaking to, for instance, the Farm Bureau of Texas yesterday. I'm not the Ag Secretary, but it matters to the workforce. I'm working with the other secretaries, Letnick and McMahon, on education and the workforce investments that you've asked me to do. Because as you've come in and negotiated these great repatriation of these companies and the investments, we're going to need that workforce to build back this economy. And I couldn't see that more as I've kicked off my 50-state tour. We've been in 5 states so far. We'll finish all 50 states by the end of the year. And what we're talking to is the American workforce and these companies about what the market demand is. That's the difference, that we finally have made that connection. What do they need? How quick do they need it? And how fast can I get these either apprenticeships toward that million that we've put that lofty goal? We've already added 80,000 new apprenticeships already just since January. So at the Department of Labor, that tour is kicked off, and I couldn't be more honored to be on the ground and see my colleagues that we're passing in the skies, but we're on the ground together because we're all collaborating together. One of the things that we're talking about, illegal immigration, I have put states on notice. I warned all 50 governors that if they continue to reward illegal immigration by treating unemployment benefits as a handout, they're going to lose their federal funding as well. We can no longer continue to give unemployment insurance to illegal immigrants, and so I've let those governors, and I sent out that letter last week.
Unbelievable.
We also eliminated discriminatory DEI offices within the department, specifically the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs. Most of our federal contracts were really just to focus on DEI enforcement. We were really punishing a lot of these companies. If they weren't compliant, they weren't going to have a federal contract. We've let go of that program completely. $4.4 billion in unspent COVID funds came back to the Treasury from the CARES Act. Billions were collecting thus in these coffers, in the state coffers. We've asked for that money back to return to the Department of Treasury. We saved $250 million by canceling America Last, is what I call it, foreign handouts, including funding for things like
America Last,
accountability for Uzbekistan cotton industry. It doesn't make sense that we're funding, these foreign, thank you to Doge and to the government efficiency, what we have found with the fraud that we're seeing.
I mean, some of these things are so ridiculous, you can't believe it.
No, I write them down and I
Just
read
like
them more than once.
cotton
Because
powders?
it doesn't
It
make
sounds like
sense.
a comedy sketch.
That's right. And so again, with the executive order preparing Americans for high-paying skilled trade jobs of the future, that's our goal. The trades is where we're being focused, but all companies, and we want to make sure we're on hand for that. And, what I want to say is thank you to government efficiency, because you've asked us, when this transitions out, will our departments and our agencies continue that government efficiency? And I think that we surpassed that in the Department of Labor. Out of our 14,000 federal employees, 3,000 have taken the DRP, and we offered it again. So over 21% have taken that offer. And we'll keep our critical workforce, MSHA, OSHA, and wage and hour, and make sure our workers stay safe. So with your leadership, Mr. President, I couldn't be more honored to serve. I know we were probably the last to know each other, but we're getting to know each other well. And the team that you have assembled is really an honor to serve with. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, you ran on unleashing American energy, and 100 days have shown the tremendous impacts that can arise from the unleashing you have enabled. I'll hit a few highlights. Number one, oil, gasoline, and diesel prices are the lowest they've been in years. How does that happen in 100 days? That's a messaging. Your message that we're pro-energy. We're not against energy, we're for it. That sends a message to the marketplace that supply is easier to grow now and supply will be coming. And that's already led to tremendous savings for American consumers across the country. And we need not only more affordable energy, but we need a lot more energy. One highlight I think a couple of us have touched on is AI. This is a new, emerging, critical industry. It's very energy intensive. It is not acceptable for the United States to not be the leader in AI. We must win the AI race and lead in that, and that's going to take a lot more energy. If you had not won election, we would not have won the AI race. Full stop. Energy would not have been there to enable us to win. Reshoring of manufacturing. These trillions of dollars you led off with is going to come back to our country to make chips, to make steel, to make automobiles, to make artificial intelligence, to make all of these industries we've outsourced. That's only going to be possible with way more American energy. But we have that energy. We have those resources. We have those businesses. We have those capitalists. We just need to stop standing in the way of them and follow the lead you've set, which is to enable them, not to subsidize them, not to help them, to enable them to invest American money and create American jobs here. Regarding our balance of trade, the second largest export of the United States is liquefied natural gas. Second fastest. In the next few years, it will be our largest export in our country. But yet, 18 months ago, the Biden administration said, we're going to stop issuing permits for new LNG export terminals. That's just nuts. That's a great competitive advantage we have. Huge balance of trade driver, a huge industry just coiled and ready to go. I just came back from Poland last night. They are thrilled that America's back in business again and that the rest of Europe can get off of Russian energy and can enable their own economic growth with secure, reliable, affordable energy from the United States. Also witnessed the signing ceremony for a deal between two large American businesses to build a huge nuclear power plant in northeastern Poland. The first of this design built in Europe. It'll be the first of many. I spoke with many other nations over there. They want to buy more American gas. They want to get American technology. They want to have a partnership with us. And they shared the message I delivered to Europe in my keynote remarks is that unleashing energy is the way you make your society safer, more prosperous, more free, and that these sort of over-the-top climate alarmism doesn't do anything to help the environment of our world, but it does impoverish people, it does reduce the security of your nation, and it makes you weaker. I think that's a constant message many of us around this table have brought to Europe. We want our friends in Europe standing up again and leaning in. A lot great is happening under your leadership. We're unleashing consumer products that Americans wanted to buy that Biden was making illegal. I'll be in Georgia on Friday at Renai's manufacturing plant. Tankless natural gas water heaters. Incredibly popular product. They almost became illegal. the return of common sense is incredibly welcome across this country, across the world. And back to Elon, that extra thing, we're going to deliver all of this with less people, less money, less burden on the U.S. taxpayers. Not smaller departments and smaller services, better, more thoughtful services done more efficiently and smarter. The way you have to run a business. We've got to get our fiscal house in order, and you and the people around this table are making it happen. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you very much. Please.
Yes, Mr. President, you are 100% correct. The border is 99.99% safe, under control. You have completely reversed the entire situation. In fact, the day before yesterday, I was down in El Paso, and those Border Patrol agents are so impacted by how you've changed things in a year. They have put up huge pictures that say, under the Biden administration, the mobs of people that were pushing through razor wire and trampling children, and the chaos and the violence that was happening at that same location, they have a picture there that says, this is what the Biden administration looks like, and this is what the Trump administration looks like. It's peaceful. People who do business between Mexico and America are coming through. They're doing it legally. They're following the law, and it's all because of what you've done and what you've empowered them to do. The recruitment for Border Patrol is through the roof. For ICE agents, they want to be a part of ICE because they recognize they actually get to do their job. I have the Coast Guard too. Coast Guard recruitment is up over 20% just in the last 60 days. Everybody wants to be a part of what the heritage is of this country. We've repositioned the entire Coast Guard fleet to focus on border and drug interdiction. As we've secured the border, the cartels have gone to the water and are going out in maritime waters to move their drugs into this country. The Coast Guard just in the last 2 months has taken into custody over 126 tons of cocaine, millions of doses of fentanyl. It's just amazing. And the aliens that they are deporting is incredible too. We've been working with all of them. The one thing that I want to point out is the fake news has been saying that Biden deported more people than you. And it's an absolute lie. And they're letting the Biden administration get away with manipulating and cooking the books. What they're counting for the Biden administration is every single person that came to that border that they processed and let into this country. They're allowing Biden to say that was a deportation, just by processing somebody and letting them come into the country. It's absolutely false. It's not true at all. You have deported over 250 known terrorists. You've deported thousands of foreign terrorist organization members and gang members, hundreds of thousands of people that were in this country illegally. We've collected $30 billion worth of tariffs through CBP, and we've also collected millions and millions, hundreds of millions of fines and penalties for people that have overstayed here in this country. So I just want to thank you. You've been a game changer. I want to thank Pete for his leadership at DOD and what they've done. I want to thank Marco for his diplomacy and getting us travel documents into these countries. Mexico has finally come to the table. Now is going to take a lot more people that we're able to send back to that country. And the president of Mexico told me, sir, she turned around over 500,000 people in Mexico before they ever reached our border. We should be counting those as deportations because they never even made it to the border because she turned them around because you forced her to. So those are all people that never even came here because they got the message.
That's your warning.
So aggressive. So thank you for what you're doing. And every day we get to get up and do jobs that matter, and we appreciate that. Oh yeah, Tom's a great messenger for us. He just, yeah, he's hardcore. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he is.
Mr. President, it's such an honor to serve in this administration, and on behalf of Main Street America, for our 34 million small businesses that make up 99% of all businesses in this great nation. I have to tell you, under your leadership, Main Street is open for business again. They're thriving and they're investing. And the data that we have at the Small Business Administration, the loans that we're putting out, a record 26,000 loans in your first 100 days means that 2,000 small businesses each week are receiving that funding, that investment in the future. Small businesses create 2 out of every 3 new jobs in this country, and we've already seen under your leadership, the jobs economy is back, manufacturing jobs are back. We've seen a 38% increase in manufacturing loans. We put out 1,500 manufacturing loans in your first 100 days. We saw startups increase by 54%. We saw businesses under 5 people increase by 95%. So your leadership on the economy matters to every region of this great nation. I'll tell you on the manufacturing front, I'm not on a national manufacturing tour. We've met with 250 manufacturers, and as I walk through the factory floors, they all ask me to thank you for fighting for their jobs, for these industries, and for the people who are creating things from pharmaceuticals to aerospace, to food, and all these essentials that this nation needs to be independent and strong. And to that end, I'm working with Congress. We'll be announcing tomorrow an upsizing of our manufacturing loans to make sure that that economic engine, because 98% of all manufacturers are small businesses. It's incredible to walk through these factories that are really creating what you had in your first administration, the blue collar boom. It's now a new collar boom because it's the intersection of technology and manufacturing and what they can create for our war fighters, for our aerospace, for pharmaceuticals, with less than 300 to 500 employees, sometimes 100 employees. I was at a factory in Georgia on Monday that is creating machines to help with the Iron Dome in Israel. Less than 50 employees. This is the engine of our economy. It's the heartbeat of our communities. It's the small businesses that helped elect you because they needed your economic agenda. So thank you, Mr. President. It's such an honor. And congratulations on an epic 100 days. I do have to thank Elon. I do want to note, we just got $3 billion in contracts because of Doge's work. That's $3 billion that hardworking families that won't have to work until April 15th to pay for the waste, fraud, and abuse that we continue to fight in this government on behalf of taxpayers. So again, thank you, Elon. Thank you.
Good job, Kelly. Thank you very much. Elon, I love the double hat, by the way. He's the only one that can do that. Get away with it.
Well, Mr. President, they say I wear a lot of hats.
Yes.
Even my hat has a hat. The American people voted for secure borders, safe cities, and sensible spending.
Yes.
And that's what they've gotten. A tremendous amount has been accomplished in the first 100 days. As everyone has said, it's more than has been accomplished in any administration before, ever, period. This portends very well for what will happen for the rest of the administration. I think this could be the greatest administration since the founding of the country.
Well, we all want to thank you for your help. You really have sacrificed a lot. You've been treated very unfairly.
Well, they do like to run my cars, which is not great. You know, it's pretty bad.
But you have been treated unfairly, but the vast majority of people in this country really respect and appreciate you, and this whole room can say that very strongly. You've really been a tremendous help. You opened up a lot of eyes as to what could be done, and we just want to thank you very much. And you're invited to stay as long as you want, and at some point he wants to get back home to his car. $150 million. Think of that. Yeah, they said, oh, it could be more. And a lot of stuff is being worked on. That number could be doubled and even tripled. A lot of things are being worked on that we don't count yet because it's not quite there. But you've done a fantastic job, and we appreciate it very much.
It's also an honor to work with your incredible cabinet. I should say thank you, everyone, for it's great to work with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. President, congratulations on
Tulsi.
this truly historic first 100 days of your administration. Really only made possible by your focused leadership in delivering the mandate the American people gave you. You've empowered all of us to deliver that mandate. And I'm grateful to have the privilege of leading the intelligence community towards ending the weaponization, politicization of the intelligence community that's gone on for far too long. And building out what is truly a lean and agile and effective intelligence community that is helping you deliver that promise to the American people of safety, security, and freedom. So, Mr. President, I'd like to highlight just 3 of the areas where we are helping to support your leadership and your work in making America safe again and bringing about these changes. First of all, because of your designation of cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, I took immediate action with our National Counterterrorism Center to prioritize their focus on those terrorists and gang members who are trying to enter our country through legal or illegal means, and to seek out those who already are here in our country because of the Biden administration's 4 years of open borders. We've been working very closely with your great Attorney General's team at the DEA to get these known cartels into our systems, to be able to stop them at the border, and turning over names to Department of Homeland Security and the FBI to be able to find those who are already here in our country. Just the other day, we found 700 alien terrorists who have ties to MS-13, Tren de Aragua, and the Sinaloa cartel. Just yesterday, our NCTC identified almost 600 individuals with ties to other terrorists who came through our borders illegally, claimed asylum, and under the Biden administration were paroled here within our borders. Secondly, Mr. President, like too many organizations in the federal government, the ODNI has become very bloated with too much waste and abuse going on within the organization. We've done a few immediate steps. We are doing more. The ODNI is 25% smaller and more lean today than it was when I walked in the door and when you took office. Secondly, we have just this morning actually shut down a human capital office. As soon as you issued the executive order to stop all DEI activities, we did that, shut down the DEI office. We discovered this human capital office that was essentially a slush fund for DEI initiatives, hidden under the guise of human capital, that closed down this morning, saving taxpayers $150 million. We'll soon be announcing an additional $2.6 billion in savings with other programs and contracts that do nothing to ensure our national security interests. And lastly, we're working every day to hold the deep state accountable, to end the politicization, weaponization of the intelligence community. This past week, I sent 3 criminal referrals for illegal and unauthorized leaks to the media of classified intelligence for prosecution. We have 11 more that are under investigation. We've revoked, at your direction, 67 security clearances, and we continue the work of declassifying documents, as we have already around JFK assassination. We have more coming for the assassination of Bobby's father, Senator Kennedy, and MLK assassination. And we continue our extensive investigations around exposing the very serious issues we have related to election integrity, illegal abuses of FISA, Crossfire Hurricane, and others. Mr. President, under your leadership, we are working every day to bring about that transparency and accountability that the American people deserve. So thank you for the opportunity.
Great job. Thank you very much. Lee? Mr. President, at the Biden EPA, the Green New Deal was raging. At the Biden EPA, we saw billions of tax dollars burning. At the Biden EPA, we saw industries suffocate. But at the Trump EPA, the Green New Deal is dead. At the Trump EPA, we know that we can both protect the environment and grow the economy. I have 13 pages of accomplishments from our first 100 days in here, and in it, part of it is 100 environmental accomplishments at the Trump EPA. You don't have to take my word for it. We released it to the media this morning. Every single day that President Trump is in this office, there will be a major environmental accomplishment. Every single day of the Trump administration. At the Trump EPA, we're also launching what is the largest deregulatory action in the history of the country. We're going to be giving our director of the OMB a whole lot of work because we inherited a big mess from the Biden EPA. And working with Elon and Doge, I've canceled now $22 billion worth of grants. Now today is a special day for many reasons. The biggest reason why we're here is that this is the 100th day of the most consequential, historic first 100 days in the history of this country. Today, while we're here, the House of Representatives is voting on Congressional Review Act bills, considering the EPA waivers that were given to California's tailpipe emissions, where California set their own standards. But there should be one national standard, and right now Congress on the House side is going to be voting on that today. On a personal note, while this is a bit outside of the EPA jurisdiction, today is my last day serving in the United States Army. And I first signed up towards the end of the 90s. And I've had a chance to see a lot of national security teams over the course of the last 27 years. There has never been a national security team ever assembled that had the backs of our warriors like this national security team right now. And we have never had a president so deeply committed towards ending foreign wars instead of starting new ones. There's a reason, Mr. Vice President, why everyone is racing to join our Department of Defense. We have a Secretary of Defense who, with all due respect to our great president, would probably rather be swimming with Navy SEALs right now, be running somewhere in the Middle East with our service members. And from our Secretary of Defense to our Secretary of State, our Vice President, and more. I just want to say thank you as a veteran of our military for assembling what is the greatest national security team that I have ever seen in my 27 years associated with the United States Army.
Has Pete signed off on this retirement leave?
Welcome to the end.
Thank you for your service, Lee.
You're doing a fantastic job. I appreciate it very much. So,
Well, Mr. President, I don't think I've ever worked so hard to try to fire myself. We're certainly making great strides in that. We've reduced the folks over at the Department of Education by about 50% now through our RIF program, and so we've closed a lot of the district offices, consolidated, so there are a lot fewer people working a lot more efficiently in the Department of Education. The commissioners of education in every state, and I was at a meeting with them not too long ago for not only our states but our territories. They are thrilled with the opportunity now to be able to have more control over the education in their states, to get rid of a lot of the red tape and regulation that's kept them from doing what they're doing. So we're seeing, I think, great improvements. We'll see test scores, I believe. It'll take a bit for them to be able to go up, but I think now that they're going to have the opportunity to put in their own programs, we'll see that grow. At the same time, we've been focused on higher education for our universities. We've returned proper enforcement of Title IX protections to schools. We have stopped funding to Columbia, for instance, and some other schools for not only Title IX but Title VI infractions. And those are moving along. I think we've brought people to the table. They know that you're serious. You meant what you said. They're going to make changes. They're making their campuses safer again. Anti-Semitism was just out of control in many of our universities. And so some tried to, in fact, Harvard is sued, and they're saying that it's, First Amendment infraction. No, this is civil rights, safety on our campuses for our young students, who are there. And with Pam's help in the task force that we formed with HHS, with GSA, with other agencies, we're going to make sure that our campuses are safe. And so there's a lot of good work going on. I think one of the biggest things, you'll be very happy to hear this, Mr. Vogt, that we are putting back into place collecting on our student loans that have been delinquent since March of 2020. There's been no effort to recollect on those loans. As of May 5th, the letter goes out that the loan recollection is beginning again. So for those people who have borrowed money and who've not been paid, that's just not to be punitive. There are many ways that they can go online to understand how they can get back into the right payment structure, because when they're in default, they can't buy a house, they can't buy a car because their credit scores are down. So it's helpful to them as well as to get this money back into the country. I mean, $60 billion of increased student loan debt since 2020. And in total, we've got almost $1.7 trillion in student debt. So we're going to start getting it back. And Scott and his team have been incredibly helpful. We appreciate that so very, very much. And so a lot's going on in the department. And what I would really like, as I'm firing myself, I'd like for you to be known as the education president because of the best in practice systems that we want to put in every state to incorporate AI so that we are training these new entrepreneurs and business leaders in our country. We can't do it with the infrastructure we have in place today. So we have to be working on that at the same time. So we're going to be doing that. So thank you for your charge to elevate education so that we are providing for every student access to excellent education. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Linda. And what's going on with Harvard and some of these colleges that are taking vast amounts of money, who also have vast amounts? They've got $52 billion and really scamming the public and hiring people like de Blasio and Lori Lightfoot, who are certainly two of the worst mayors in the history of our country, paying them a fortune of salary and having them teach our children how to manage cities and how to manage government. What's the word as of this morning on, let's say, Harvard?
Well, we're negotiating with them. When we went back to them to say we welcome them back to the negotiating table, their response was a lawsuit. So Pam and her team are helping work with that. And I am, enjoying the fact not only am I firing myself, but I'm now being sued fairly regularly by different departments of education. But we're staying tough with them. The other thing that we're looking at also are the 117 violations of these big universities like Harvard and others who are not reporting as they're required to do by law foreign money that comes in and how much that is and where it comes from. And so that is
And students.
Yeah, and it's very serious.
Where are these people coming from?
Yeah, exactly.
We pulled back their grants because Harvard isn't responding to us, criminal activity by their students. And until they give us that list, they're not getting any more grants from Homeland Security.
Good, I think we should pull it back.
We did it.
The students they have, the professors they have, the attitude they have is not American, and I think you should, a grant is a grant. We don't have to give grants.
Right.
So we'll pull back the grant. All right, very good. Thank you very much, Lindsay.
Mr. President, thank you for your extraordinary leadership over the past 100 days. We are already making America healthy again. We announced last week the ban on the 9 petroleum-based synthetic dyes, food dyes. Within 2 years, within 2 months, we're going to ban the worst 2 of them. I am working with Secretary Rollins on dietary guidelines, the dietary guidelines that President Biden's administration gave us. 453 pages. They're basically unreadable. And they are the product of the same kind of politicized science that drove Fruit Loops to the top of the food pyramid. And we're going to do real science, gold standard science. We're going to develop with him. We have till December to do it, but we are working very, very fast together. We're going to get it done by the end of the summer in time to drive change, major dramatic changes in the school food, school lunch programs over the next school year. I'm working also with Secretary Rollins on the SNAP program and to get sodas and candy off of the food stamp program. 10% of food stamps go to SNAP. And I want to thank you for your courage. You are a business-friendly president, probably the most business-friendly in our history, but you're also willing to stand up to very, very powerful businesses, and you've shown that again and again. Secretary Rollins had the soda industry come and knock on her door very much, very loudly, and they said to her, well, the SNAP program is not supposed to be about nutrition. She pointed out to them that there is no nutrition in a soda. And they said, well, it's not supposed to be about nutrition. And she said, the name of the program is supplemental nutrition. It is about nutrition. And we should, we have 38% of our kids are diabetic or pre-diabetic, and we are paying at both ends. We're paying for the food-like substances that make them diabetic, and then we're being bankrupt. We're spending $1 trillion a year on metabolic dysfunction. It's existential and it's not sustainable. We have, I visited Arizona, West Virginia, Utah, and Indiana in the last 2 weeks, who have all applied for SNAP waivers, were encouraging, thanks to Rollins' leadership, all of the states to apply for those waivers. I also visited Utah, which is the first state ban for supplemental fluoride. Florida yesterday passed a bill to ban supplemental fluoride. I'm confident Governor DeSantis is going to sign that. We are working, Lee Zeldin and I are working together to change the federal fluoride regulations, to change the recommendations, and we're looking at the science now. I want to put out that in August, the National Toxicity Program, which was an arm of the NIH, did a meta review of all the science on fluoride and found that there's a direct inverse correlation between fluoride exposure and low IQ in children. The more you get, the stupider you are. And we need smart kids in this country, and we need healthy kids, and thank you for your leadership. We're going to get there. We're reviewing the GRAS standards now to get, we're revamping them to get 10,000 ingredients that are in our food. The Europeans only have 400 ingredients. We have 10,000.
Oh my goodness.
The chemicals we know nothing about. And we are going to stop that process, and then we're going to go back and look at these chemicals and make the companies either get rid of them or to label them. We've launched Operation Storage Speed. We're going full speed ahead to make sure that we have good, high quality milk for children. We have launched the autism study at your direction. By September, we'll have some of the first answers. Within 6 months of that, we will have definitive answers, not only for autism, but for the etiology of a whole range of autoimmune diseases that have become epidemic in our children. We have ended HHS as the role as the vector, the principal vector in this country for child trafficking. And during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we have ended that, and we're very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration. And we have ended funding for gender mutilation surgeries and other kind of gender dysphoria practices, and thanks to Elon, we have saved $67 billion at our agency without compromising any of our critical programs. Mr. President, I want to thank you for your vision, for your leadership, for giving me the 100 busiest days of my life, and most exciting and most rewarding. And there's, over the next 100 days, we're going to do much, much more.
That's good. Thank you very much. Very important. Thank you. Doug? Yes.
Well, President Trump, on your first day in office, you wisely declared a national energy emergency. And this was essential because it was the signal that we're going to go 180 degrees from the disastrous and dangerous Biden policies that were based on a climate ideology that was the root cause of the inflation in this country. It was the root cause of wars abroad. It was the root cause of our manufacturing disappearing from our country. We can't have energy security. Without energy security, we can't have national security, and you understood that. But now with everything that's flowed from that, dozens of other EOs that you've done, America is back in the energy business. As Chris said, there's been a signal that's sent around the world. Capital is flowing, coming back in. The smart money is coming to this country. And now you've given us a chance to win the AI arms race against China. We know we're up against a formidable competitor. China opened up 94 gigawatts of coal in the last year. That's more than all of California and all of New York combined in the last year. We've had presidents in the past, the Biden administration, that were running away again into this climate ideology. You've embraced baseload power in this country. I'll never forget standing in the East Room with you, surrounded by the coal miners from around this country, where you said, hey, big, beautiful coal. As we work to try to identify the balance sheet of America, our earliest estimate is that the coal resources in America, just on public lands, could be worth $8 trillion with a T. That was all going to be taken off our balance sheet if we weren't going to touch it. but now we're back in the business. I was 1,800 feet underground in a coal mine in Alabama a couple weeks ago. They do metallurgical coal. Without metallurgical coal, we can't produce steel. This is a plant that would have been in a mining operation that would have been shut down under the Biden administration. What we're doing here back in the business, we're doing leasing. We're leasing for oil and gas. We're leasing for timber with Brooke Rollins. We're leasing for grazing. We're leasing for critical minerals, which is key. And when we lease the public lands appropriately and by the law to do that, we're bringing in revenue. We're bringing in jobs. We're helping strengthen America. And so we're treating our natural resources like the American balance sheet they are. And America's resources, the 700 million acres of surface that's public, the 700 million of subsurface, the 2.5 billion offshore, all contain what we need to have self-sufficient supply chains. And so in this, we're focused deeply on critical minerals. The Biden administration put us in a real predicament right now. The whole trade team, the whole cabinet, Susie's jumping in, leadership across everybody, the National Energy Dominance Council. But of the top 20 critical and rare earth minerals that we need for defense, that we need for industry, China's controlling 85% of the refining for that. So we are running at warp speed 7 days a week to try to put ourselves back in business in that way. So, and I want to just close out by saying a couple other things. One is the border. Few people realize that 41% of the southern border is in the Department of Interior. And then we've got a few more percent that come with Brooke and with the Forest Service. But that's been a risk area. Part of the reason everyone's pouring into our country, Biden wasn't enforcing the border laws. They definitely weren't enforcing it on public lands. And so again, using tying two presidents that had a great propensity for action, Theodore Roosevelt in 1907 created what was called the Roosevelt Reservation, 60-foot strip that go from Texas all the way to the Pacific Ocean, because he was worried in some future state there might be smuggling. I don't think he was anticipating human smuggling and fentanyl trafficking, but that has been largely unused. He gave us the authority to transfer that, and so working with Christie and working with Pete, we've transferred that to the DoD. So transferring land from the other agencies like Interior to the Department of Defense, and as Pete said, they can do the detain and assist with the military. And having been down at the border multiple times in recent week, I can confirm everything Christie said. The enthusiasm, the morale of that group is exactly 100% opposite of when Christie and I were down there as governors. I had Border Patrol people say that they were multi-generational service in that law enforcement that said, my wife and I are telling our children never to go into this thing, to go into Border Patrol. People this time were saying, I got a 17-year-old, as soon as they turn 18-year-old, they're signing up. My wife is thrilled. They're going into law enforcement. They're so proud to be serving with you. Everybody I've met, whether it's in a coal mine or at the border, law enforcement, the one thing they say on those trips is, please thank President Trump for all of us, the change that you're making. And I want to say especially this became very dear when we last week renamed a U.S. Wildlife Refuge in honor of Jocelyn Nungare. Jocelyn Nungare, of course, lost her life tragically to illegal Venezuelan gang members in this country in a horrific way. Her mother, Alexis, was at that ceremony. Her grandmother was there, and Jocelyn's great-grandmother was there. There were 3 other generations of that family were there. They all wanted to pass on their thank you to, and we've secured her name forever as a sanctuary. And really is saying that every child, every 12-year-old, every child in America should be safe in their own communities. And you've dedicated a beautiful piece on the coast in honor of her. So, President Trump, in your first term when I had a chance to work you as governor, you were courageous. The thing that's empowering this amazing group of people around this table, and you've probably assembled the greatest cabinet ever.
That's
is
right.
This time you're not just courageous, you're actually fearless.
Greatest
It's
cabinet
your
ever.
fearlessness to take on the issues that other presidents would not touch, whether it's the work that we're doing with successfully streamlining and right-sizing government, or whether it's taking on the issues at the border, or whether it's embracing the power we need to win the arms race. You're fearlessly doing that, and that creates it just all of us can sprint because you're running ahead. So thank you.
Thank you, Doug. You are doing a great job. And with Chris, that's a pretty much unbeatable combination. So thank you both very much. Thank you, Doug. It's great. Marco?
Well, it's not easy to go last. All these reports that have come here. First of all, so it better be good, and I'll be short as well. A couple things, Mr. President. I think you deserve a lot of credit for two things. The first is assembling this great team of people.
That's right.
Some of whom I've known for a long time, others who I've gotten to know during this period of time, but putting together a team, not just of talented individuals, but that work well together. It's something never going to be reported on in the media or fully seen, but it happens every single day. For the most part, I interact with almost everyone around this table at some level, and because of Secretary Kennedy, I'm afraid to eat anything. So he said Tootsie Rolls are okay, you're all right. But it's a great team. And here's the second, and I tell this to people all the time. This is incredibly rewarding service, and you hear it in everyone's voices. Traditionally in the past, and it's one of the problems we got in as a country, is presidents would say, okay, let's go do something. And then they would have to do a study, and then a study on the study, and then a long internal deliberative process. And by the time you got to it, it was too late or somebody had forgotten it. In this administration, it's moving. You know the direction because you know why you were elected. The American people elected you very clearly. And basically, it's measured, I used to say by days and weeks, now it's measured by hours and minutes. But action is happening. And that's what people want to see. And I'm going to talk about foreign policy in particular because I'm not sure this is fully appreciated. This president inherited 30 years of foreign policy that was built around what was good for the world. And that's the decisions we made as a government in trade and foreign policy was basically, is it good for the world? Is it good for the global community? And under President Trump, we're making a foreign policy now was it good for America?
Right.
I was appointed by you and confirmed by the Senate to be the head of the United States Department of State. Not the World Department of State, not the Global Department of State, the United States Department of State. And what that means is our foreign policy is guided by three things. Does it make America stronger? Does it make America safer? And does it make America richer? If something doesn't do one of those three things, and hopefully all three of those things, we're not doing it. Now, we went out and hired a consulting firm to help us organize ourselves. Luckily, they were free. They're called the Department of Government Efficiency. And they helped us do a couple things. Number one is our foreign aid. We were funding some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. You tell me, how does a puppet show in some country around the world make us stronger, safer, and more prosperous?
$22
So we got rid of
million
puppet shows and a bunch of other things. I'm sure there are very good puppet shows. And I'm sure that a bunch of charities in the world can go pay for it, but the American taxpayer should not. We've also, by the way, Mr. President, under your direction, reorganized the Department of State. We had offices within offices within offices that didn't even know they existed themselves, not to mention the rest of them. And so we've begun to reorganize that as a way to be able to empower our embassies and our ambassadors and our regional bureaus to do what many of them signed up to do. We have a great team of ambassadors you appointed. They're coming online every single day. Very talented people that are involved. Something else we got out of the business of, I don't know why we reported it, or maybe it was. We had an office in the Department of State whose job it was to censor Americans. And by the way, I'm not going to say who it is, I'll leave it up to them. There's at least one person at this table today who had a dossier in that building of social media posts to identify them as purveyors of disinformation. We have these dossiers. We are going to be turning those over to these individuals.
We can follow up with the media.
Well, we are going to turn over these dossiers to the individuals, and they'll decide whether they want to dispose of it or not. But just think about it. The Department of State of the United States had set up an office to monitor the social media posts and commentary of American citizens to identify them as vectors of disinformation. When we know that the best way to combat disinformation is freedom of speech and transparency. And so that's what we're going to be in the business of doing. We're not going to have an office that does that. Beyond that, Mr. President, and this I'll move quickly because this has been a team effort, we have gone to countries all over the world and said, hey, you want good relations with the United States, you need to take back your people that are here illegally. And we've had historic cooperation. Beyond that, and I say this unapologetically, we are actively searching for other countries to take people from third countries. So we are active, not just El Salvador, we are working with other countries to say, we want to send you some of the most despicable human beings to your countries. Will you do that as a favor to us? And the further away from America, the better, so they can't come back across the border. I'm not apologetic about it. We are doing that. The president was elected to keep America safe and to get rid of a bunch of perverts and pedophiles and child rapists out of our country. Here's something else we've done. We stopped giving student visas to people who are coming here to burn down our universities and take over libraries and harass people. Why are we giving student visas to people who are coming here to create disruption? And we've taken away the student visas of people that are coming here to do that. It's simple. If you're coming to America to start riots, we're gonna take away your student visa. And by the way, every country in the world that I've traveled, 14 countries in 14 weeks, you know what they all say to me? Yes, that's what we would do too. So the only people who seem to disagree with this are a handful of federal judges and a bunch of crazy people who get paid to write and report. So anyway, we're getting rid of that. The last, but now here's some good news. You know, we're gonna have the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup, FIFA Club Cup, and then we're gonna have the Olympics. So we have to have a consular affairs bureau. We have very good talented people there, but we are going to infuse technology, again, working with our consultants, to be able to, again, millions of people are coming into this country for this. And, but we've done it to improve customer service. For some of us who served in Congress recognize that about a year and a half ago, we had a meltdown under Biden. You couldn't get a passport.
Does she know
We have people calling, I had to cruise on Friday, my passport expired. In the month of March, we processed 2.78 million Americans, their passports. That is the historic, it's the largest single month processing of passports ever, and we think it's a good way to build the momentum to be able to do the visas. Two last points I want to make. We have a great team that you've built. I want to especially acknowledge Steve Woodcock. This is a person that doesn't have to be doing what he's doing. He has a very good life in Miami, my hometown as well. He has worked incredibly hard, has done it without any agenda, and we need to acknowledge him. I want to acknowledge Mr. Boulos as well, who did something really great last week. They told us this war between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda is intractable. It can never happen. It will never happen. I sent Mr. Boulos, your envoy. A week later, I look on my schedule. The signing of a declaration of peace between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. We signed it at the State Department last week. We hope it will lead now to a lasting, permanent peace that we hope to invite them back to Washington to sign. So two great, and we have a lot of good people working on our teams as well, but these are two great people. Mike Waltz alluded to this earlier, and this is the last point. In the first 100 days of the 47th presidency, 47 wrongfully detained Americans have been returned to the United States, thanks to your leadership and the diplomacy that was exercised to make that happen. 47 for the 47th president in the first 100 days. And that's all credit to you, Mr. President. Thank you for the honor to be able to serve alongside you, for you, and alongside all these excellent people.
Thank you very much. You did a great job. So, you know, I've been involved in a lot of groups of people over the years, good groups, bad groups, all types of groups, but I have been involved in some incredible groups, but I've never been more proud and impressed, frankly. Impressed is, maybe even
they are
more
impressive.
But I've never been more proud or impressed than I am with this group. This is an amazing group of people, and I hope some of those television cameras were blazing and it was on so people could watch this because, frankly, you know, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, this is an impressive group of people.
It is. They are very impressive.
I sat around being somewhat competitive. I said, well, let's see, who did the best job, who did the worst job? And I determined that everybody is like the same, and there was no worst job. Everybody was outstanding. Everybody did a job. You couldn't pick a winner. The only thing you can say is nobody did a bad job or even a fair job. You're outstanding, and so I want to just congratulate you.
Outstanding cabinet. These
You know, we have a
people
job
are
to
the
do.
real
We've done a lot
deal.
of work in this 100 days. We've established things that are going to start taking place in the next 100 days. I want to see what it's going to be like. I think we're going to have to do this in 100 days, Susie, and we're going to see some very big results from the things that we've done. But I just want to thank everybody. This is really very impressive, and I hope the people at home got to see some of it. Nobody's ever done public cabinet meetings. They were quiet for a reason, because they weren't impressive.
They would never do cabinet meetings. A lot of Americans never got to see a cabinet meeting.
But I just want to say that we're very proud of you, and I am in particular.
Thank you for
all
the
very much.
transparency.
Great job, and I think we're going to have some tremendous success for our
Each
country.
person
And
gave an
I don't
account.
know, it doesn't seem like a time to be asking questions. I was so impressed.
Transparency.
To be taking
This is very
questions.
impressive.
Why did you do this? Why did you do that?
They never open up the
It
doors to these
doesn't
type
seem
of
to be
meetings.
appropriate.
Very impressive.
I guess we probably have to take a couple because that was the purpose, but if you'd like to ask some, I think they should be very respectful.
Okay, here come the reporters.
This was an amazing meeting, And so if you'd like to ask a couple, if you'd like to pinpoint them to some of the secretaries, et cetera, would be fine, yes.
Look at him, thirsty.
You brought up El Salvador in your remarks. Have you been in touch with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia? Because a formal
Oh my
request was
God,
in
that gotta be ABC, CNN.
You know who else I'll never tell? The judge. Because the conduct of our foreign policy belongs to the President of the United States and the executive branch, not some judge. So we will conduct foreign policy.
These people didn't hear one word that's been
I'll never
spoken.
discuss it. And no one will ever make us discuss it. That's how foreign policy works.
Mr. President, yesterday you told ABC News, Mr. President, you told ABC News yesterday that you could get Abrego Garcia back if you wanted to. Do you think President Bukele would turn you down if you made that request?
This is their, look at these ass, God forgive me. These people, the whole meeting, they are stupid.
He's doing, and they run a very professional operation. I don't know, I haven't spoken to him, I really leave that to the lawyers, and I take my advice from Pam and everybody that is very much involved. They know the laws, and we follow the laws exactly.
After everything that's been said, these dumb reporters.
You took credit for the stock market highs. You said it was a reflection of.
They ain't gonna ask about Kim or everything that nothing about Americans.
You said that the stock market highs were a reflection of how well the transition's going and the American people's confidence in your incoming administration. Now, the stock market's not doing so well, and you're saying that's the Biden stock market, yet you are the president. Can you explain that?
I'm not taking credit or discredit for the stock market. I'm just saying that we inherited a mess, both at the borders. You could look at every single one of the people here, and no matter who it is, they're doing
They
better
didn't hear
than
anything.
What took place.
They are stuck on stupid, and they all need to be fired. They need to shut down every one of those other news programs.
At will, just at will. People from mental institutions, gang members, drug dealers, when you look at that, what they've done to our country, and also having.
They're not looking at
it.
it. Look at the first question for their news media.
Probably in the history of our country, they say 48 years, but I would say in the history of our country, it ate away at people. And even though you saw the stock market going up somewhat, because in my case, I had the biggest stock market increase, 88% in the last term, in my last term. But I don't view the stock market as the end all. It's an indicator. But what the stock market really tells you, or when you look at the stock market in this case, is it says how bad a situation we inherited. I took place, this is a quarter that we looked at today. And I
Can't close Black history.
all of us together.
Unbelievable.
It came on January 20th. So this is Biden.
Unbelievable.
And you can even say the next quarter is sort of Biden because it
People
doesn't
perish
just
for
happen
lack of knowledge.
on a daily or an hourly
Word.
basis. But we're turning
That's
it around.
so
It's a
true.
big ship to turn around, and we're going to have the greatest country financially in the history of the world, I believe. I think we're going to do things that, and we had to do it. We reset the table. We were being ripped off by every single country with just about, without exception. I'd have to really think hard for who hasn't taken advantage. And I don't even blame those countries. I blame the person that was sitting right here where I am for allowing it to happen.
Never could be taken
where
away,
our country
ever.
was ripped off on trade, hundreds of billions of dollars. And now we're doing better than we've done in a long time. You know, we were losing $4 to $5 to even $6 billion a day on trade with Biden. And now we have it down to a very manageable number, and the tariffs, for the most part, haven't even kicked in yet. So that's the way. Stock markets to me are an indication, but the big indication is what's happening, and the people around the table know what's happening.
The Ukraine minerals deal is set to be signed in 24 hours or
What
so.
was it?
Is it true that the Ukraine minerals deal is about to be signed in the next
Here we
24
go
hours?
again. He still haven't signed
And
it.
if it's true, has the deal changed at all from the last time we heard about it?
You mean
Well,
that?
Scott to answer the question because he is responsible for it.
Yeah, our side's ready to sign. The Ukrainians decided last night to make some last minute changes. We're sure
This
that they will
dude is never
reconsider
going to
that,
sign
and
a
we are ready to sign this
freaking
afternoon.
mineral deal.
Can you talk about those last minute changes? What was removed?
No.
What is-
Nothing's
No.
been removed. It's the same agreement that we agreed to on the weekend. No changes on our side.
Just to put that in perspective, though, when I came here, I said, how much money have we given to Ukraine? The real number is about $350 billion. It's unthinkable. and we had no security, we had no nothing. We were just pouring money there, unsecured money, putting it in banks.
Taxpayer dollars.
Anybody could have taken it out. Anybody over there, it was their decision. I've never seen anything like it. Europe, on the other hand, which is obviously that whole situation is much more important to Europe because we have an ocean in between. But Europe gave about $100 billion. It's a lot of money. It's a big sacrifice they made also. But they gave much less than we did. And their money is secured, totally secured, by deposits in banks. The deposits are largely Russian deposits. That's what Europe did, but their money is secured. So they gave $100 billion totally secured. We gave money like it's throwing it out the window. And it was done by Biden, and this is Biden's war. This isn't Trump's war. I'm trying to get out. And more than the money, they're losing about 5,000 young Russian and Ukrainian soldiers, mostly. There's some people also being killed in towns where missiles should not have been shot, small cities and towns. But we are trying to save the lives of about 5,000 young, mostly soldiers, that are losing their lives a week. I see satellite photos, probably off one of his satellites, come to think of it, but I see satellite photos every week of fields with arms and heads and legs scattered all over. It's a violent, violent, horrible situation. And more important than the money, I want to save the lives of people from other countries that are dying so stupidly, so needlessly, and they're dying. But I said, what are we doing? How did we get into this war? Would have never happened if I were president. Everybody knows, and it didn't happen for 4 years. Wasn't even thought of. I discussed it with President Putin a lot. He said it was the apple of his eye, but there was no way he was going to do anything. Zero chance. And I said, we feel foolish. The Europeans are putting up money. It's totally secure. They get the money back.
That's the Democrats.
We're putting up much more money. We have absolutely nothing. And I didn't want to make a complicated deal. I didn't want to make a deal that couldn't be made because Ukraine doesn't have very much money. They're going through a very bad period of time. It's been brutal. But I felt very foolish being in charge. So I said, well, we want something for our efforts beyond what you would think would be acceptable. And we said rare earth. They have very good rare earth. As you know, we're looking for rare earth all the time. Rare earth is called rare for a reason. And they have a lot. And we made a deal where our money is secure, where we can start digging and doing what we have to do. It's also good for them because you'll have an American presence at the site, Chris. And the American presence will, I think, keep a lot of bad actors out of the country, or certainly out of the area where we're doing the digging. So we made a deal, and I assume they're going to honor the deal. I put Scott in charge, and Scott said it beautifully, but we haven't really seen the fruits of that deal yet. I suspect we will.
You had set a 90-day deadline through an executive order for Secretary Sykes and known to review whether to recommend to you whether to invoke the Insurrection Act to send troops to the southern border. Is that something you're still considering?
Well, I'm talking to them, and it's not hard and fast, but I'm talking to them, and I will tell you that the border is the most secure it's ever been. We have never had anything like it. And when you said, Christy, before, it's 99.999, and I guess that means one person maybe, or two people. It's actually turned out to be 3 people came across the border versus hundreds of thousands of people under Biden. And we're talking about people coming, look, people, they have souls, they have hearts, many of them are good, but we have a country that's under siege. We have a country that really is I think it's under attack. In many ways, worse than under attack, because there are no uniforms. You don't know who the attacker is, so you really don't. It's not like you're fighting an army. You're fighting people, you don't even know who they are. But 11,888 murderers, many of them murdered far more than one person, are roaming. Now, some of them have already been caught. A lot of them have already been caught, taken out. But we're being impeded by judges from doing our job. And hopefully that situation is
You're
going to be
welcome.
solved, because I think nobody wants to have murderers and people from jail, and I mean for serious crime. I remember the Biden people used to say, no, these are aliens that came into our country and they don't commit crime. I said, they don't commit crime, they commit worse crime. They make our criminals. Some of these people that they've allowed in through open border policies, the dumbest thing I've ever seen. You can look at some of these people and you say, this is not going to end well. But the people that they've allowed into our country are making our criminals look like the nicest people on earth. I will tell you, these are serious criminals. These are violent criminals. These are people that would kill you and wouldn't lose an ounce of sleep, and they wake up the next morning and they don't even remember it. This is a rough, tough group of people, and we've got to get them out of our country. And the law says, I believe, I hope, and I think Pam will be very successful in proving it, but we've run into, I would call them rogue judges. Somebody could criticize me for that. These are rogue judges. These are radical left, generally radical left, horrible judges. And we didn't lose all of these people. You know, we've lost a lot of people to death and to rape, all sorts of crimes committed by the people that poured into our country. And they came in totally unimpeded. Just come on in. And you see it every night. You'd see thousands of, tens of thousands of people pouring into our country. We have no idea who they are. And to this day, we're looking for people. We have no idea. We hear that we have terrorists in our country that are so bad, they couldn't stay in any other country, but we're getting them out. And the group between Pete and Christie and Tom Holman and everybody working together.
They're being
people that you would least
transparent,
suspect
Kat.
are reporting them.
That was Biden's
the public is
administration.
reporting them. The public is saying.
No
the
checks
public
and
is calling and
balances.
they're saying, you know, I live in
Unbelievable.
a house and next to me moved in a group of people and they are very violent. And would go and would find out and would say, yeah, you're right, they were really violent. And we have information on most of them. So I just think it's incredible what's taken place. But we right now have a very secure border. Right now we have the most secure border in the history of our country. So I don't think we have to worry about your question too much.
Mr. President, as Prime Minister of Canada ran against, not only against the Conservatives, but also against you. Yesterday, yesterday he spoke about American betrayal. Are you interested in rebuilding relations with Canada, and if so, how?
Make them the 51st state.
Relationship. He called me up
Yeah,
yesterday,
make them the
said, "Listen,
51st state. Let them stand on their
He
own.
was running for office. They both hated Trump. And it was the one that hated Trump, I think the least that won. I actually think the conservative hated me much more than the so-called liberal. He's a pretty liberal guy. But no, I spoke to him yesterday. He couldn't have been nicer. And I congratulated him. You know, it was a very mixed signal because it's almost even, which makes it very complicated for the country. It's a pretty tight race. But he's a very nice gentleman, and he's going to come to the White House very shortly, within the next week or less.
Mr. President, when will you speak to President Xi of China?
That'll happen. I mean, look, right now.
They're not even asking none of this
having
administration
tremendous difficulty
questions.
Because their factories are not doing business. They made $1 trillion with Biden, $1 trillion, even $1.1 trillion.
$1 trillion.
With Biden selling us stuff. Much of it we don't need. You know, somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, you know? And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way. They have ships that are loaded up with stuff, much of which, not all of it, but much of which we don't need. And we have to
They
make
didn't ask Biden
We've
any
been
questions
ripped
ever.
off by every country in the world, but China,
this
I would
wasn't
say,
allowed.
is the leading one, the leading candidate for the chief ripper offer. There has never been a country that's been ripped off more than the United States of America under some of the dumbest leadership, and it usually starts with the president. And you can go back, and I'm not just talking about Biden. It's been the worst. I mean, the trade deficits and everything else. He's been the worst.
Go to Clinton.
but he had no idea what he was doing. And I think somebody ought to look at the auto pen to find out who was really running this country, because it wasn't Biden. Because nobody could agree to what he agreed to. I mean, he put our country at risk, at tremendous risk, and fiscal risk, financial risk. So I think we have it very much. I really believe that the next 100 days is going to be even better than this. Look, I read an editorial yesterday from a group that normally wouldn't write a good, that this is the most consequential presidency in history, in the history of our country. This is not a particular group that would write that kind of an editorial, but they see what we're doing and what we had to do. And I believe if this group, not just me, if this group wasn't here, I think our country was going to be in, if it was lucky, just serious trouble, but a lot worse than that. I think our country could have been a total disaster. Bad things were happening with our country, and we've stemmed the tide, we've turned it around, but we're going to really turn it around over the next 3 years, 3.5 years, we're going to turn it around, and then hopefully it'll be in such great shape. That's my goal, to put it in such great condition that it can't be destroyed.
Why? Then the Democrats are right. What are you going to say then, Democrat?
You mentioned this last night in your speech in home, but we're facing an unprecedented situation where there's a lot of abuses of nationwide injunctions, sort of seemingly designed to curtail your power, specifically when it comes to deporting these illegal, violent aliens that came in under the previous administration. Have you spoken to your team about ways to mitigate this and continue to deliver for the American people on that?
There are ways to mitigate it, and there's some very strong ways. There's one way that's been used by 3 very highly respected presidents, but we hope we don't have to go that route. But there is one way that has been used very successfully by 3 presidents, all highly respected. And hopefully we don't have to go that way, but there are ways of mitigating that. I want to thank you all very much. I thought this was an incredible cabinet meeting. I think there's never been a cabinet meeting like this. You've never seen it on tape, that I can tell you.
Never had a cabinet meeting.
I want to just congratulate everybody at the table, but we have a lot of work to do.
This is a privilege, you guys, a privilege.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Do you join Mr. President in being the White House back second time? How's your life?
I'm working hard. I like my life. I'm working hard, but I like it because we're doing a lot of good for a lot of people. Thank you very much.
God bless America. You know what? I don't even think that the American
Historic
people
truth and transparency
understand
on display for
that this is a privilege. I don't think Americans understand. We were so accustomed to have that former administration, that didn't speak to each other, didn't speak to the public, didn't do anything for American citizens, that put American citizens last, put illegal aliens and the rest of the world first. You know, their whole agenda was America last. But when they had any type of press, which was rare, the reporters were selected, questions were pre-selected, and that was it. They didn't have this. Now they all thirsty, and now they all want to be journalists. Now, and then the very first question, now you have this Justice League cabinet that went over each of their department heads, and these fools, the first question is about Kilmar Garcia, who's in his country. He's a citizen of El Salvador. He is not a United States citizen. He has a president where he can get due process or whatever the case. He entered this country illegally. He was ordered out of this country in 2019. He has been seen by 17 judges, some of them twice. We have spent $5 million on him, and he hasn't spent 1 penny. We're already broke. There is no way that we could go for each person and go through the courts like that. They are costing us too much money. So you know they were never open, our borders were never open because the kindness out of that previous administration heart. It's all about votes because they are crushing our economy. The monies and stuff, they said like 49% of them are getting housing. They're on our housing. They're They're getting Social
Yeah.
Security.
Zachary, you could thank Joe Biden for the economy.
You
Thank
know,
him for that.
and they won't charge the people that caused all of this. Every day that of the last 4 years, where were you while all of this has been going on? They didn't want to blame the administration, so they waited till Trump got in office, and he's been in office for 100 days, and you're gonna blame all of this.
No, we're speaking the truth.
All of this on this man that has bringing trillions of dollars set to come into this economy, jobs. And you know what? When this stuff start rolling off, because guess what borders are closed? Did he close the borders? What did Biden say for the American people that he was ever going to do? What did they do? What the Democrats now? What have they done? Answer the poll. What have they done in the last 100 days for American citizens? What have they done in 4 years for American citizens? See, all this anger is misdirected because y'all been gaslighted. Y'all, you should be turning on them.
You've been fooled.
Holding them accountable for the condition of this country. And you know what their agenda is? TDS. As long as they're fighting Trump, then they don't have to do their job. They're not doing their job. They're redirecting our attention and deflecting their responsibility that they caused this mess. And guess what? Tomorrow, everybody going, oh, they got big rallies going on tomorrow. 50-51, May the 1st, big rallies like to fight him in fixing their poo-poo, their doo-doo.
Someone said they will vote for AOC.
Yes, they will. And she has the worst borough in the country. And AOC, she running around the country with Bernie Sanders flying on private jets, talking about rich people, flying on private jets. And her borough that she's supposed to govern over is crashing out, is crashing and burning with illegal immigrants, crime. The people are screaming and hollering. It's the worst in the country. These people aren't doing anything for Americans, but they'll distract you. Kilmar, I mean, everybody knows his whole history now. He's the poster child. It's absolutely incredible.
I'll bind you up in the name of Jesus.
It's absolutely incredible that they don't want to hold. I can understand illegal immigrants not wanting to, Trump to deport them. But I don't understand the American people.
Yeah, Patricia, that's because we're not sheep and we're not followers. We're not going to do just because our race is doing it.
No, they want you to keep doing the same thing forever.
Same gimmick.
And same thing, getting the same results.
That's insanity.
That's called insanity. They expecting a different result. Expecting a different result. That's insanity. They haven't done anything for Black people but suppress us, keep us down, lock us up. The very people saying that they're doing stuff for us have done the most harm to us. Those are the Democrats. And when Black people finally wake up, start looking at policies, start really looking at these elected officials and their part in the harm they cause towards Black people, then that's when we'll start succeeding even more than we already are. But as long as we stay with that plantation mentality, that one for all for one, like the Democratic Party, they're not for us. We want the Republican Party, and specifically Trump, is for the American people. We want what's best for all of us, the American people. We're not standing here as Black Americans, and then you have Asian Americans. Any other country, if you're French, you're French. They don't say Black French. If you're Chinese, they don't say Black Chinese, or Russian, you're Russian. We're Americans. And we need to put America first because it benefits all of us. But America has been last. The Democratic Party, they put America last. It's about the world problems and it's about illegal problems, but it's not about American people. And that's why Trump is elected, because it's time to focus on Americans, all of us, period. Just like the rest of the world, they're not going to focus on America if you live in France. They focusing on their people.
Cat English said, I'm a proud black woman who will never vote for a person who treated fellow black people wrong.
Well, if you voted for Biden, then you don't know what's going on. Okay, you ain't black unless you vote for Biden, right?
1994
Or fake Kamala talking about, do you wash collard greens in the bathtub too? You know the fake black person that's really an Indian. Because you live in Jamaica, that don't mean that her heritage wasn't Indian. She was Indian. She's Indian. Indian. You need to see, you talking about the wonderful Biden 1994 crime bill. Trump never locked anybody up. He took an ad out in the paper, like everybody else thought that the Part 5, the Central Park 5 were guilty until they were proven innocent, which was wrong. But Biden did mass incarceration of generations of black men that took them out of our households, our uncles, cousins, sons, husbands, all of them. You need the men in the household to lead you. Women had to work 2 jobs, which left your kids to the streets. And then they winded up in prison because they didn't have, you take the husband out, the man out, they don't have the leadership. They didn't have the example. That's what he did for us.
Oh, Eric's back.
That's what, and Trump did the First Step Act that reversed that bull crap, okay?
Hey,
Trump
Eric,
did that.
how have you been, Eric?
I gotta get that HBCU. What he's done now for HBCUs that Trump has implemented is gonna blow your socks off. My next slide, I really gotta get it, or I'm doing a show on just to read what he's doing for black people in America, especially our HBCUs. And his last administration, whereas the other presidents didn't do, they had them coming every year to beg for money. You see, Harvard ain't have to beg for $50 billion. They just give them money.
Democrats are, wow, Michigan is a lot.
But the Democrats won't hold the elected officials responsible. I've always voted democratically. I will hold them responsible. I go by the effects of what they're doing to me as a person. And they're not fighting for anything. What are their resolutions? What are they doing for us? Who are the leaders? Why aren't they working along with Trump to reduce costs, reduce crime, to help get the bad people out the country, to bring down interest rates, the things that concern us? What about making us healthy again, making us safe again? They made us unsafe, unhealthy. Then why aren't they doing anything to reverse it? You're blaming someone that's trying to fix what the damage they have done. But you won't fight him tooth and nail when he's trying to bring this country back.
Like Kamala's famous quote.
Do you think that the world respected Biden? Do you think the world would have respected Kamala? And do you know we would be a third world country that she'd be running and hiding and drinking? She wouldn't even they would be tearing this country up because the leadership was weak. They were weak. They were weak. We need a president that's strong, that's respected. They were weak.
Eddie, you're still sleeping.
But we're not going to. They got TDS because the mainstream media, they did their job. They look at the questions that when they had an opportunity to ask, they had a whole executive board for every department from education to the board to Pam Bondi to all of the administrators, the vice president. They didn't ask them any questions.
Like, look what people in the shower are saying.
What?
Now look at Jamal.
No, you hate yourself more, Jamal. Educate yourself. Use Google. That's a great tool. Google the 1994 crime bill. And look who the author of it was. Look at the night that still affects our black people today. Look at, go to the Washington's website and look what Trump is doing for the HBCUs in today's time. Look at the facts, who opened up the borders.
Look at the First Step Act.
Look at the First Step Act. I mean,
like Kendall said, they called us super predators.
called us super
Now,
predator.
Joe
Jamal,
Biden-
you're a super predator. That's how they look at you. Those are the Democrats.
Just asleep. It's sad.
It's okay. He's lost and uneducated. See, as long, you know, in the word it says people perish for lack of knowledge. You won't do your homework and then come back. Do your homework.
Now Nathan's saying something too. He said Jamal look into the strange death of Vincent Foster during the Clinton administration.
He got to do your
something else.
Please do your. I was like you 4 years ago. I can prove it. I have receipts of being with all these politicians that I am now not supporting. I wasn't just a voter. I was a freaking participant aggressively to make sure that my Democratic candidates had gotten elected. And this is 4 years later, and I've seen the damage that they have done to this country. And unbeknown to me is that they're not being held accountable. No one is holding them accountable. They're running around to cause all this, and y'all sitting up there talking about hands off, stand up, fight back, and you know all of our union slogans, it ho ho, hey ho ho, so and so has to go. But nobody is holding them accountable for what they've done and how they still today don't have any resolutions, are not putting out any type of bills. They're not even doing anything for American people. Nothing. They're running on just like those reporters. Oh, what about Kilmar? Well, what about Rachel Morin that got killed, was bashed in the head 25 times and was repeatedly raped and then choked to death, that lives in Maryland, and her freaking congressman went over to El Salvador for Kilmar, who has been he's not even accused. It's already been proven that he has beaten his wife. His wife had photos, videos, and things like that she says that she has of him beating her and hurting her. And he's in the car with MS-13 other gang members.
His knuckles.
His knuckles show it. I mean, all this stuff, and they still talking about, oh, like, is that your American concern?
Now look at Jamal. You're so
It's
asleep.
Jamal,
bro.
that's your American concern?
He said, I love my black queen, so I will never disrespect you. Just love yourself more. I stand with Jalen Hurts.
He's not black.
I stand with Jalen
He's not black.
Yeah.
He's not black. You're not black. Somebody, what, it's amazing. Ask God for wisdom, because he gives it out liberally. Ask God to remove the blindness from your eyes. Try to look. See, I used to only watch MSNBC, CNN, ABC, Rachel Maddow, Morning Joe. I mean, I was drinking all the coffee. All of it. I'm a leader. I was all in, 10 toes down. Fight. Yeah, but that was with the Democrats. It's come to a time that you need to do your homework. I didn't do my homework. I didn't even know. And I'm involved in politics. I didn't even know that all this stuff was going on. And Ku Klux Klan, what party was that? Democrats. All this stuff, a lot of stuff that's going on is because our people do not do our homework. My mom voted Democrat, I'll vote Democrat, expect your kids to vote Democrat. We're generational voting Democrat, they said, for the last 60 years. We don't do our homework. They promise us something every 4 years. What have they delivered on? I'll wait. What have they delivered on? Did they give us the crime bill? That's why I supported Biden that I was like aggressively supporting him. Where's that anti-hate crime bill for Black Americans? You know who got it? The Asians. Did they get them in office? No, we did. Promises every 4 years. What have they delivered on? Anything. What have they delivered on? I'm just waiting. Jamal, tell me what? Because every 4 years, we get promises made, no promises kept. And now, I think the last election, they told black men, guess what? That she got elected. She said that you wouldn't get charged for marijuana. She promised you marijuana. That was for black men. How offensive is that? How offensive is that? Did you see the little paper she wrote up what she would do for black men? Oh, y'all can smoke reefer. I won't lock you up. For black men. Nothing about starting businesses. Then she came out with that lame $25,000 or whatever. That was a lie. You couldn't even say where the money was coming from. She knows nothing about finance. And the only thing, if you're buying a property, the property only going to increase to $25,000. That's how that works. But tell me, what have they done? What did they promise us? Abortion? They promised all Americans abortion. Let's not talk about the economy, inflation, they call it the two wars, the open borders, illegal immigration. Let's not talk about all those things. Y'all wonder, we're gonna talk about abortion because we caused all this, so we don't want to bring it up. We just want y'all to focus on Trump. Oh, he's a dictator, he's Hitler. That's offensive to every Jewish person because he's nothing like Hitler. But that's the brain, I thought he was the boogeyman too. I thought, oh, he got to be the worst thing ever. And he's not.
Now Jamal went ghost.
He's not. Because he's going to keep on, they're going to keep saying the same thing, and they're doing the harm. They're doing the harm, and they're going to, and black people are going to keep on until Jesus come back. They're going to keep on voting for a party that promises something and do nothing for us. And then we got these sellouts like Roland Martin. He's worried about his black media. Yeah, y'all, go here. He got me on cannabis. I donated. I thought he was legit. Never got my money back. He's like, these people would sell us out in a heartbeat. Al Sharpton got $500,000. What did he get? Al Sharpton got, $500,000, $500,000. They gave Beyonce $10 million. They gave Megan Thee Stallion $3.5 million. Every star, everybody you saw to get us to vote for them, they were paid out of that $1.5 billion that was spent in 3 months, and they went in debt. Who could raise that money except for the rich? The Democrats are the rich.
They said Priest beautiful.
Add
to that, it's all those celebrities, like besides Beyonce,
they're the rich.
Besides Beyonce, they weren't for Joe Biden or the Democrats, such as Cardi B and Usher. They
made Usher.
Yeah.
So they got Usher. You had Clooney coming out there. He doing the big fundraisers. Like, that's Hollywood. They're the rich. Trump couldn't raise no $1.5 billion, let alone in 3 months. He didn't have the money. They had the money. We're so blinded to the lights. I'll do your weekend. We're so blinded to the light that they raised $1.5 billion in 3 months. And she didn't even hardly campaign. They made her shut up for 2 months. And then when we heard her start talking and we heard them word salads, I was flabbergasted.
They said I also want the parade, the America First parade.
Yeah, I like what I'm trying to get. I'm probably gonna talk to some people in Washington. I want to do America First celebration. We see everybody out here doing this because I'm an organizer and activist. Those rallies and stuff that you see all them out there doing, that's what I would normally be doing. But the Republicans don't do the rallies like that. But it's time for pushback because over 77.8 million people voted for Trump in the office. That's not what's out in the street. They're not talking for us. You got that governor, I forget his name, the one that looked like Fred Flintstone in Chicago. He talking about, don't let the Republicans rest. We're going to fight.
He was like, he got to come through me.
What's his name, Spitzer or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He, like, he got to come through me.
Yeah, come around him. We got to come around him. Yeah, they talking about don't get rest, but we need to have American First celebration. That people need to come out in support of the closing the border. The border closing is down to 99.9% in less than 100 days. Then they were letting in like almost 200,000 people per month. Per month. Only 3 came in. I think the last were 3 people. Trump did that, like, shut it down. It's unsustainable. We can't take care of these people. That's the main deal. We can't take care of them. Something's going to get, we don't have the money. Do y'all know how much, try to write out $36 trillion with all the zeros. $36 trillion. That's debt that we have to pay back, that we owe. That's money owed. And we can't continue to do, what's the
I want to
poll?
hear from the 26% that said yes.
Are you satisfied with the job that Democrats have done in the last 100 days? We had 1,417 votes. 74% of the people said no, and 26% of the people said yes. I would like to know, like, we know that people are in a right mind that said no, but the yes people, what have they done for the American people? What have they done for the American people? Yeah, they working on robots.
Angry.
You do need to educate yourself, because you wouldn't uphold Biden and that administration like you do. You act like you don't understand that they caused the problems we're going through. Where were you at? Are you American? Are you American? Because where were you? Because they caused the open border. They did that.
So, Rob said that this is a low IQ show, and then someone replied to Rob saying, "Rob, you have no IQ."
Thank you, Chad. Y'all are like, I would high five you. Y'all on point. It's like sometimes the people who think, and we're not all knowing. No one is. We like to be enlightened. But you have to speak the truth. If you cannot admit that something, that party is jacked up, then I know it's no truth in you. There is no way that you can justify what they have done to this country. And then you're not even going to look at it. You're not going to acknowledge it. Look at the leaders now. Look at Jasmine Crockett. What is she doing? What is Schumer doing? What is Nancy Pelosi doing? What is AOC doing for the country? What is Bernie Sanders? Cory Booker? These are all my favorite. I mean, what are they doing? Wow. Let's do. Remember that video?
Like that.
Yeah, that was a bench.
Like
what are they doing?
But,
TDS.
No, their new candidate is Van Hollen.
Oh, Van Hollen. I'm going over El Salvador. Forget that my constituent's daughter who had 5 kids that was brutally murdered in my state. I didn't even reach out to the family. American citizen, but you're going to fly over there for illegal, that had illegally immigrated to this country and was ordered out years ago. If you can't admit about that Democratic Party, you have no conversation. If you can't say anything, you have no conversation. If you can't look at who Biden was, he was an absent president. He was on vacation 40% of his presidency. He wasn't even running this country. See, they like people like that they can control, got the order pen, and they were doing all this, and they had him as the face. But see, they didn't want Trump because they couldn't control him. They can't control. He's actually trying to do something for the people, whether you like it or not. But when the money start coming in and these companies start building and everything start rolling in, then what are you going to say? Who are you gonna be able to blame? That's when people are going to start. That's what it's going to take for you to start looking at that party, the Democratic Party. They have no solutions.
So I'm saying every president used autopen, including Trump.
They have no solutions. Not like Biden. Yeah. Biden wasn't there. How many news conferences did Biden give? Did Biden ever do a cabinet meeting? And his cabinet went around the room? Was Biden on TV? Trump is on ABC. Any news program that's really even against him, that's hostile towards him, he'll go sit and he takes any question. He doesn't use a teleprompter or script. Show me in this administration that will do that. And the only ones that kind of support Trump is only one station. All the stations support the Democrats because they control Hollywood. They have the money. The ones y'all don't think they're the ones they're the billionaires. Your Zuckerbergs, your Mark Cubans, your what's his name? Bill Gates, your Beyoncés, your Jay-Z's, you're like Oprah. The billionaires control all this. Trump, I think his campaign was $382 million, and he ran against 2 candidates. And then they try to lock down his money that he had. They tried to take that, and they tried to take Mar-a-Lago. They took him off the voting rolls in certain states. They had a raid. Yeah, they raided the house. They did everything to him.
But he was prepared for the two candidates saying, because last time with Hillary, he had to go against Bill too. It was Hillary and Bill.
It was just crazy. But anyway, you guys, we're going to come back on at 7 o'clock tonight. Trump is going to be giving a speech. He's coming on 7 o'clock. So
Orpheus, you're a grown man voting for a woman to be your president.
You know what? We're going to probably come on 7:30 because they don't start exactly on time. So we're probably going to come on around 7:30. Either between 7:30 and 8:30. I think I'll make it for like 7:30. And he's going to be on tonight. So anyway, thanks you guys. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe. We just started a membership. So, you know, the people who join our membership or whatever, those are the people that we're going to bring on that, you know, on a live. Or, you know, or people we're going to have on the show. So that'll give you an incentive to join. And don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe because we're going to do something else. Like, we have thousands of people. You can't see the numbers, but we usually have like 40, 50, 60, 70,000 or more people on the stream. So we should have 100,000 subscribers. So in the future, we want to do something, you know, like have a contest, like to get us to 100,000 subscribers, like do like cash, you know, just do a cash like contest that you know you could win 1,000 or win 500 or 300 or something. So anyway, this is something we're going to work out. But meanwhile, don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, and notification bell.
Dave made a good point. He said you can't argue with liberals here.
Yeah. They don't want to. They want to keep the blinders on, no matter it's right in front of them. The people that's doing all the dirt are the ones they're fighting for, and the people that's trying to help are the ones they're fighting against. It's like somebody trying to throw you a life raft, and you keep throwing it back, saying, "Don't help me, don't help me." You know, it's insanity.
Oh, got a great comment ending on this. Hayes said, "Much respect to you and your son, standing for your own beliefs and not following blindness. You state facts, but people follow up by insulting you. This reflects why I stay away from the Democrats."
Yeah, we don't mind because like we former Democrats, so we can handle. You can't come on here if you can't handle the trolls or the people. But I encourage them to use the dictionary. I encourage them that, you know, since you believe in something, I believe in this, so I can speak on it. You know, this is authentic. We're never going to come on and pretend in front or just say things to get viewership. So, or say things like, you know, certain people, they do like say, like if there's a certain segment of people, or we'll just speak about them and we'll against them, even though they're the same complexion. But we know that we're going to get, you know, hundreds of thousands of views because we're talking about, you know, the dynamic of people. But we're just speaking, we talk about all subjects. It could be all of it, but we're going to stand on truth. And that's why God gave me this program, and it had to be called Speak the Truth 2.0.
Now,
2.0.
Orpheus, your name reminds me of Morpheus from The Matrix. But he said, "I think you're honest, just brainwashed and misinformed."
Yeah, you guys have a great day. God bless you. I pray in the name of Jesus. God said, "Beloved, above all, I wish that thou may prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prosper." And you're supposed to pray for those that persecute you and say all things against you. You pray for them.
Richard,
so we're sending our prayers to you in the mighty name of Jesus. That you have a blessed day. Your family be safe and blessed.
Richard, you sound like a son of the devil.
In Jesus' name, God bless you too. God bless everyone on here. And come back tonight. We're probably going to be streaming at around 7:30. So don't forget to hit the notification bell.
No, the name is cool. I think the name's cool.
Okay. Bye. I got to go eat. I'm going to Panera Bread. I just want a salad and a sandwich right now for lunch. Yeah, I'm going to Panera Bread. I don't feel like making anything else to eat. We already had breakfast.
Someone said, nice. He said, "Thanks for the channel."
Oh, God bless you. God bless you.
Someone said, "God bless you and your journey." Beautiful people saying to you and yours. God bless you as well.
Yeah, and don't forget, you guys, we can't read all the comments, and we're not trying to ignore people, even the negative comments. But if you leave us comments after the stream, because this goes away, we can't answer it. Just after the stream, if you something you want to say or something that you're in a disagreement with or in agreement with, do you think the Democrats are doing a great job? Let us know. If you don't think they're not, let us know, because we like to respond and keep the conversation going.
Yes.
But in the future, you join the membership. We're going to be bringing people
Someone
on.
said something funny.
What?
Fast Wizard, you sound soft as heck. But Richard said, watch the news, y'all. Don't listen to these folks. The mainstream media. Watch the mainstream media. Don't listen to us.
Well, anyway, God bless you guys. Have a wonderful day. God is good all the time. God is good. And glory to God. And just pray that you enjoy your life. Enjoy your life, okay? And it's great to speak up, you know, because you want to speak the truth because silence can't be heard. So you want to get it out there and stay true to yourself.
All right, let's get up in there.
God bless you. And God bless you. And don't forget, join the membership. Hit the likes. We are going to be bringing people on, but only members. Only members. So you want to talk to us, you have to join. God bless you. Have a great day. See you.